Chapter 45-15. Duan Lingtian, Lan Ming and Shui Ao waited with Hu Mingyue until the next day, when they finally arrived. After everyone arrived, they all got on the same artifact spaceship and went to the entrance to the ruins. Duan Lingtian glanced around. In addition to the people from Bibo Tianfu, this time, they collected kendo geniuses from all over the country to explore the return to the ruins. This second batch, including him, Lan Ming, and Shui Ao, actually had 36 people. It seems that this time, Bibo Tianfu has found hundreds of kendo geniuses and went to explore the return to the ruins in 3 batches. While Duan Lingtian was observing the surroundings, Shui Ao and Lan Ming, as well as other kendo geniuses, were also looking around. These kendo geniuses are either sitting on one side alone or in groups of 3 or 5. Everyone's face has a bit of pride. Even Lan Ming and Shui Ao, although they were very low-key in front of Duan Lingtian, were limited to Duan Lingtian. When others looked at them, they were indifferent and could hardly hide their arrogance. This time, when I went to the place where the return to the ruins was located, many of the powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu who brought people over did not go there together. Only 3 people remained. Hu Mingyue, who brought Duan Lingtian and the 3, was one of the 3. At this time, the 3 were chatting in front of the artifact spaceship. Old Shui, I heard that one of the geniuses you brought in this time has realized the existence of the 6th order swordsmanship. An old man with a white beard supported the long beard on his chin, squinted his eyes, and asked Hu Mingyue. When Hu Mingyue heard this, he smiled and said, "Yes, it is the great worship of the Duan clan in the holy city of Tourmaline, named Duan Lingtian. The kendo comprehends the 6th level, and the law of space also comprehends the realm of small perfection. Invincible superior under the gods, there should be no one who can defeat him alone. Not even the 3 of our Bibo Tianfu?" Another young man in a blue robe asked in surprise. Hu Mingyue shook his head, "Probably not. That Duan Lingshan's strength, this time I have also asked clearly in the Duan clan, and it is indeed very strong. Of course, it's up to him to know how strong it is. This time, if he does well in the land of return to ruins, I plan to recommend him to the palace." Hu Mingyue said. "If such a genius is willing to enter our Bibo Tianfu, we will not refuse even if his performance is average in the land of returning ruins." The white-bearded old man laughed. "He wants to come in by himself, which is different from our invitation." Hu Mingyue said with a smile, we must promise something. And he wants to enter, naturally he can't take the initiative to make conditions with us, right? So, I think it's impossible for him to take the initiative to come to our Bibo Tianfu, and he will definitely wait for us to invite him." What Hu Mingyue said was actually what Duan Lingtian thought. To be precise, it was mid-Saint Yuyi Duan Yue who reminded him to do this before. You want to ask to enter the Bibo Tianfu, and Bibo Tianfu actively invites them, which are completely 2 concepts. According to Duan Yui's words, her younger brother's talent is so enchanting, unless the people at Bibo Tianfu are blind, they will definitely invite her younger brother to join him. It was also because of Duan Yui's reminder that Duan Lingtian knew the importance of holding the shelf in front of Bibo Tianfu. Otherwise, not to mention anything else, in order to release Kier's soul imprisonment, he would not mind taking the initiative to make a request to Bibo Tianfu to join Bibo Tianfu. Just about 2 hours later, the artifact spacecraft stopped. And Duan Lingtian and others also followed Hu Mingyue and other 3 powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu, and got off the magical spaceship. At this time, they discovered that they appeared in a vast barren mountain. Moreover, when they came out, there were already many people waiting here. About a dozen people. Those people are all strong men from Bibo Tianfu. The young man wearing a white robe with a silver border is obviously the highest. Beside Duan Lingtian, Shui Ao looked at a figure in the distance and said softly. Duan Lingtian heard the words and looked over. However, they saw that Hu Mingyue and the other 3 who brought them out all stepped forward at this time, saluted the young man in a white robe with a silver border, and called out, "Master Hall Master." "Lan Ming, what kind of strength do you think this person is?" Shui Ao asked Lan Ming. When Lan Ming heard the words, a gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and then he said in a deep voice, "At least it's a semi-holy. It does have some eyesight." Suddenly, a voice came, and a young man in a brocade clothes came over. Duan Lingtian had an impression of this person, a kendo genius who came over in a spaceship with them. This person had previously sat alone and closed his eyes to rest in peace. Really half-holy? Shui Ao looked at the young man in genie and asked in surprise, "You don't know him, do you?" The young man in genie smiled when he heard the words, "I'm not qualified to know him. However, I did meet him, and it was many years ago, when I was still young. His name is Xiao Tianxi. He is the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu, a semi-saint powerhouse, and is also recognized as the next saint of Bibo Tianfu." The young man in brocade said respectfully. Xiao Tianxi, Lord of the Golden Dragon Palace. Hearing the words of the young man in genie, Duan Lingtian also remembered the name. "I just don't know. How does this person's strength compare to Sister Wei?" Duan Lingtian said secretly. However, after thinking about Duan Yue for a moment, his face darkened again, and the original living person disappeared in a blink of an eye. Moreover, after trying to find a way out for him, he was killed. It is conceivable that if Duan Yue hadn't put him down at that time, he would have been killed together with Duan Yue. He didn't think that the three semi-sacred powerhouses who killed Duan Yue would be merciful to him. He is Xiao Tianxi. And Lan Ming, at this time, was horrified while suppressing his voice. "Lan Ming, do you know the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu?" Shui Ao looked surprised. Duan Lingtian also looked at Lan Ming. But Lan Ming said with a solemn expression at this time, "I heard an elder mention him. Said that he is an unparalleled genius and evildoer. In the past, after stepping into the realm of the strongest, whenever you enter a new realm, you will challenge the realm outside the realm, and even fellow practitioners from all over the world are people in the realm." In the process of Xian First Order to Third Order, he was finally recognized as invincible at the same order. Until he stepped into the fourth level Xian, he was just about to challenge the fourth level Xian strong in the four directions, but he was not successful in his apprenticeship and was defeated by a monster who was also the fourth level Xian. And that evildoer also stepped on the name of defeating him, and became famous outside the world, and even in the world. That enchanting monster has faced the challenges of many Xian Fourth Order powerhouses, but these people were all defeated by him without exception. In the end, this person is recognized as the first person under the semi-sacred place, and even the 10,000 worlds. Xiao Tianxi's limelight was completely covered by him. When Lan Ming said this, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. "The person you said." At this time, the young man in genie next to him raised his brows. "Is that the powerhouse of the god-defying realm Xiao Mubai, one of the 18 realms of the 10,000 realms?" Xiao Mubai. This was also the first time Duan Lingtian had heard someone mention the names of people from the god-defying realm other than Time's Sword in a place outside the world. For a time, his heart couldn't help but get a little excited. After all, whether it is the Sword of Time or Xiao Mubai, they are the seniors of his hometown, the god-defying realm. At this moment, he has a sense of hometown pride. He is also a person from the god-defying realm. Chapter 45:16. Duan Lingtian looked at the Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu. The same surname as Xiao Mubai, the world master of the god-defying realm, is also a genius. Before their god-defying realm made a big splash with the help of Xiao Mubai, he was famous in places beyond the world, and even in all realms. Until the fourth rank of Xian, he was defeated by Xiao Mubai. Of course, even if Xiao Tianxi was defeated by Xiao Mubai, Duan Lingtian didn't feel that this Xiao Tianxi was really weak, it was only weaker than Xiao Mubai. And, certainly not much difference. Hall Master Xiao is here. Suddenly, Shui Ao's reminder came from Duan Lingshan's ear. At this time, Duan Lingkai discovered that, surrounded by Hu Mingyue, he was coming towards them from the sky, and he was in front of them in a blink of an eye. "Duan Lingtian, this is the master of our Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Palace, the master of Shao Tianxi. At this time, Hu Mingyue looked at Duan Lingtian and said loudly, Dianzhu Shao is here to meet you, a genius who has mastered the 6th order swordsmanship. 6th order kendo. Hu Mingyue's voice was so small that many people around him could hear it. For a time, a group of eyes gathered on Duan Lingshan's body from all directions, and their eyes were full of disbelief and shock. 6th order kendo? Moreover, is it still in existence under a supreme power? Real or fake? Of course, this question only exists in the blink of an eye. Since the top powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu have said so, then 9 times out of 10 this matter is true, because there is a high probability that the superpowers of Bibo Tianfu will not open their mouths. Duan Lingtian, I have seen Hall Master Shao. Duan Lingtian bowed slightly to salute Shao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in front of him. And Shuai and other people standing beside him also bowed and saluted. Let me see your swordsmanship, how about you? Shao Tianxi looked at Duan Lingtian, and with a slight smile, pointed it out. In an instant, a stream of light pierced through the sky and swept away straight towards Duan Lingtian. In an instant, Duan Lingtian could also feel that the impact contained in this stream of light was definitely enough to compare with his current full-strength strike. This is definitely the top offensive under the invincible upper god. He knew that Shao Tianxi wanted to try him, but he didn't expect that Shao Tianxi's control of power would reach such a superb level. Taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate, and immediately rose from the sky, carrying that stream of light into the sky. Then, the 7 orifices and exquisite swords came out from his hand. The space law of the small perfection realm was integrated into the divine power, and together with his swordsmanship, he met the streamer offensive pointed out by Shao Tianxi. Call out. Duan Lingshan's sword, the colorful rays of light condensed, met the streamer, and instantly stalemate together. And then, in front of everyone's eyes, the 2 forces collided together, and a terrifying force suddenly erupted, and it was about to recoil at the nearest Duan Lingtian. Whoa! I saw Shao Tianxi lifted up, invisible, as if there was a huge force falling from the sky, crushing the recoil force that was about to rush towards Duan Lingtian, enough to cause Duan Lingtian to be slightly injured. Thank you, Hall Master. Duan Lingtian repeatedly thanked him. Good. Shao Tianxi, however, nodded to Duan Lingtian, and then said, after this trip to the ruins, can you be interested in entering the Bibo Tianfu and my Golden Dragon Palace? Shao Tianxi sent an invitation to Duan Lingtian. And this invitation also shocked everyone around him. Even Hu Mingyue never expected that the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu would take the initiative to invite a young man to join Bibo Tianfu. You must know that in the past, this one has only actively invited 2 invincible high-ranking gods to enter the Bibo Tianfu and the Golden Dragon Palace. Except for those 2 times, no one was invited again. In the eyes of the Hall Master, can this Ling Tian be compared to the invincible superior god? Now, not only Hu Mingyue was shocked, but the senior officials of Bibo Tianfu, who were familiar with Shao Tianxi, were also shocked. For a time, more eyes were focused on Duan Lingtian. The kendo geniuses present all looked at Duan Lingtian with envy and hatred. Listening to what the master of the Golden Dragon Hall of Bibo Tianfu, the first person under the sage of Bibo Tianfu, said that if Duan Lingtian entered Bibo Tianfu and the Golden Dragon Hall, he would probably immediately become his confidant. Duan Lingtian is honored. Duan Lingtian responded quickly. Bibo Tianfu's strongest semi-sage invited him. What reason did he have to refuse? With the strength of this person, in Bibo Tianfu, it can be said that there is an existence under the saint and above 10,000 people. It is good. A smile appeared on Shao Tianxi's face. From today onwards, you are the person of the Golden Dragon Palace that I Shao Tianxi had. I, Shao Tianxi, the palace master of the Golden Dragon Palace, give you the name, the Void Sword. Are you still satisfied? Shao Tianxi asked with a smile. Void Sword. Name. Although the name is not something valuable, the name given by Shao Tian has a completely different meaning. How much should Xiao Tianxi pay attention to before being given the title by Xiao Tianxi himself? Is it a direct disciple, nothing more than this? Thank you, Hall Master. Duan Lingtian repeatedly thanked him. Although he had no feelings for the name, since the Golden Dragon Palace Master gave such face, he naturally couldn't refute the other party's good intentions. And, it's also good for him. At least, when he entered Bibo Tianfu, his road in Bibo Tianfu would be much easier to walk. Having a backer and not having a backer are two completely different concepts. Haha. The void sword Duan Lingtian, I didn't know that before. Hall Master Xiao is so good at taking names. Hu Mingyue laughed, and in his words, he was not stingy about flattering Xiao Tianxi. Duan Lingtian, you don't need to go in the second batch, the third batch is here, you can go in together. Xiao Tianxi said to Duan Lingtian. Yes. Duan Lingtian responded quickly. As for Lan Ming and Shui Ao, who had come with Duan Lingtian before, when they looked at Duan Lingtian again, there was nothing but envy in their eyes. You all came from the Duan clan at one time. You have become Bibo Tianfu's strongest half-sage confidant, but we are still the little transparent. Xiao Tianxi let Duan Lingtian enter the last batch again, and gave him the treatment of the kendo genius who entered the ruins at Bibo Tianfu this time. Brother Hu. Duan Lingtian sent a voice transmission to Hu Mingyue, who was standing behind Xiao Tianxi. He couldn't help but ask curiously, what is the rule that Hall Master Xiao is best at? And Hu Mingyue quickly gave him a response, Dianzhu Xiao is best at the law of death, and he has already entered the realm of great perfection. Secondly, the law of life, which is also close to the great perfection. The only thing missing is the four worlds. Palace Master Xiao is also good at swordsmanship. He is currently in the 5th rank. As long as he enters the 6th rank, he can be promoted to breakthrough and become a saint. As soon as Hu Mingyue said these words, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized. It turned out that Xiao Tianxi was also good at the law of life. It seems that this Hall Master Xiao Tianxi has already seen that I am not young. One of the 4 ways of heaven and earth that he masters, is also the way of swordsmanship. Maybe it is also related to this? After all, geniuses are generally unconvincing, but they will still give some respect to those who can surpass themselves in a certain field. At this moment, Duan Lingtian also found the reason for Xiao Tianxi's attention. After a moment, Duan Lingtian came to Xiao Tianxi's side. Then, looking at the figures one after another, they came out of the land of return to the ruins. Soon, the first group of people, as long as they were still alive, came out. Palace Master Xiao, the statistics have been made, the first batch of people who entered, lost 12 people. Soon, there was a powerhouse from Bibo Tianfu, who came to report to Xiao Tianxi after finishing the statistics. Okay. Xiao Tianxi's reaction was calm, as if he was not surprised at all. As for Duan Lingtian, deep in his heart at this moment, there were waves of stormy waves. He knew that based on the number of people in the second batch, the first batch of people must be between 30 and 40 people. 12 people died. Almost a third of it was lost. The death rate is too high. At the same time, the expressions of the second batch of kendo geniuses also changed after hearing the loss rate. Chapter 45:17, Such a high loss rate. Many kendo geniuses have the intention of retreating after hearing about the loss rate. However, when a few people proposed to withdraw, the one who responded to them was the extremely cold gaze of the most powerful person in Bibo Tianfu. As if telling them, if you dare to quit now, there is only one dead end. Humph. A kendo genius snorted coldly, what are you afraid of? Wealth and wealth are in danger, which one is not in danger? If you are even afraid of this kind of danger, you are not worthy of being strong. The land of return to the ruins is indeed dangerous. However, there are not many places to return to the ruins with such a high loss rate. However, as this kendo genius opened his mouth, all those kendo geniuses who had the intention of retreating suddenly looked remorseful. They never thought that they would be greedy for life and fear of death in front of a place with many opportunities to return to the ruins. They have been able to get to this day, and they have gone through countless difficulties, and they have also experienced many scenes of life and death. Are they really afraid of death? Not necessarily. It can be said that the words of this kendo genius woke them up. This person, kendo, is at the 5th level. When Duan Lingtian looked at the kendo genius who was speaking, not far from him, the voice transmission of Shao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu, also entered his ears in a timely manner. However, he is much older than you. Among the kendo geniuses present, apart from you, he should be the strongest. Hearing Shao Tianxi's words, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but glance at the other party. However, I saw that this was a young man in a black robe, with an ordinary appearance and an angry eyebrow, giving people a feeling of not being angry and self-proud, standing there, standing straight, like a sharp sword. Okay? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian found that the other party seemed to sense that he was looking at him, and also looked at him, and there was obviously a strong fighting intent in his eyes. Facing the fighting intent in the opponent's eyes, Duan Lingtian just looked at him, nodded lightly and smiled. Then, he looked back. This man, wouldn't he think he was provoking? Soon, the last time for the first group of people to come out has arrived. Those who came out alive handed in their vows. Then, there is the supreme power of Bibo Tianfu to take them away. The people who took them away were the 3 superpowers who brought them here before, and while taking them away, they said, "This time I will take you to Bibo Tianfu. If you get what we want in Bibo Tianfu, you can do it all. Select some corresponding treasures in our Bibo Tianfu. If you don't get what we want from Bibo Tianfu, everything you gain from this trip will belong to you." Soon, the first group of people who came out alive followed the powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu to leave. And half a day passed. Following the indifferent voice of the master of the Golden Dragon Hall of Bibo Tianfu, Shao Tianxi, go in. Immediately, under the guidance of Hu Mingyue and other 3 Bibo Tianfu supreme powerhouses, a group of kendo geniuses, including Lan Ming and Shui Ao who came with Duan Lingtian, entered the place of return to the ruins together. Duan Lingtian, I really envy you, being valued by Hall Master Shao. After I come out this time, if I have a chance to enter the Bibo Tianfu, you have to cover me. Before Shui Ao went in, when he transmitted the voice to Duan Lingtian, his tone was a little more flattering and flattering. After the sound transmission, he followed the others into the place of return to the ruins. For a time, there were only 6 people left outside. The 3 Bibo Tianfu supreme powerhouses who brought Duan Lingtian and the other second group over. Duan Lingtian. There was also Shao Tianxi, and the grey-robed old man behind Shao Tianxi who had never spoken. The grey-robed old man, following behind Shao Tianxi, was like a shadow, following him like a shadow. His face was calm, and there was no turbulence from beginning to end. Duan Lingtian couldn't help but wonder if this person was paralyzed. You 3, wait outside. Following Shao Tianxi's words, he raised his hand, took Duan Lingtian, and left with the old man behind him. Duan Lingtian has not recovered yet. When he opened his eyes again, he found that he had come to a vast and boundless world. This piece of heaven and earth is boundless, and at a glance, it seems that there is no end in sight. And just when Duan Lingtian wondered where he had been brought, Shao Tianxi's voice had entered his ears in a timely manner. This is the small world inside my body. Elder Kong, he is also good at space law. His space law, many years ago, stepped into the realm of great perfection. Before the 3rd group of people enter the land of returning ruins, you will be here and practice the laws of space with Lao Lao. In your spare time, you can also show your kendo and show me how. My kendo is only half a step away from the 6th rank, but this half step has not advanced for many years. After Shao Tianxi said these words, Duan Lingtian also knew what the other party meant. The other party wants to observe his kendo. Of course, it won't let him suffer. The other party also arranged for a strong man who mastered the laws of space in the realm of great perfection to instruct him on the laws of space. Call. As if a gust of wind blew, followed closely, an aged figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. At this time, Duan Lingtian also recognized the other party. Isn't that the old man in gray robe who stood behind Xiao Tianxi earlier? At that time, he also felt that the other party was like a facial paralysis. He is a superpower who has mastered the spatial laws of the great perfection? Duan Lingtian secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. The most powerful person who has mastered the laws of space in the realm of great perfection, even if his attainment in the four realms of heaven and earth is very general, and he has not even stepped into the fourth rank, he is at least the existence of the fourth rank of the strongest. The fourth order Xian is also close to the semi-holy existence. Go all out. Use your swordsmanship to match your space laws. The gray-robed old man opened his mouth, but his expression didn't change when he spoke, making people look like that paralyzed face. I will try my best to control my strength to a level similar to yours. Of course, I won't keep it when it comes to displaying the laws of space. Hearing the other party's words, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel excited. He knows. This is definitely a great opportunity for him. Although, in his hands, there is no shortage of floating shadow mirrors that have realized the existence of the law of space to the realm of great perfection, but after all, it is a floating shadow mirror, which can only be observed and cannot be experienced in person. And now, a living powerhouse who has comprehended the laws of space to the realm of great perfection, stands in front of him, and wants to give him pointers. This is undoubtedly a pointer to get twice the result with half the effort. The help of the floating shadow mirror to him is insignificant in the face of this kind of guidance. Thank you, Senior. Duan Lingtian looked solemn, and bowed respectfully to the gray-robed old man. For him, this is a great blessing. Even though he knew that this was a deal, the transaction between him and the Golden Dragon Hall Master Xiao Tianxi exchanged his kendo perception for the perception of the laws of space. However, he knew that this was his advantage. He believed that, as Xiao Tianxi, it was not so difficult to observe the sixth-order swordsmanship of others. Even a strong sage might give him some face and betray others. And he Duan Lingtian, wanting to comprehend the laws of space to the existence of the great perfection realm, and pointing him while fighting with him, is undoubtedly more difficult than going to the sky. Now, such an opportunity is in front of him. How could he not be excited? This is a surefire deal. My law of space has not advanced for a long time. This time, it may be an opportunity. Only by going a step further can we continue to move towards the realm of great perfection. He now has mastered the sword Tao of the four ways of heaven and earth, and has comprehended the sixth order level. As long as he comprehends the laws of space to the state of perfection, he will become the leader of the invincible superior gods in one fell swoop. If you break through and become the strongest, he is directly a saint who is stronger than the current Xiao Tianxi. Xiao Tianxi, as a leader among the semi-sages, while comprehending the law of death to the realm of great perfection, the level of the kendo of the four ways of heaven and earth is still at the fifth level. As long as his swordsmanship reaches the sixth rank, he has taken the most crucial step and can be directly promoted to become a saint powerhouse. Chapter 45:18. The old man Xiao Tianxi, called Empty Old Man, quickly moved. As soon as he made his move, the surrounding space shook, as if he had turned into of space, leaping from one end of the space to the other, appearing when Duan Lingtian. It's not teleportation, but it's comparable to teleportation. So strong. This is the space law of the great perfection. Duan Lingtian trembled in his heart, and at the same time subconsciously wanted a teleport to leave the place, but he didn't do it, because he knew that Kong Lao must have disturbed the space and made him unable to teleport. Call out. Without any hesitation, the divine power on Duan Lingtian's body rose, and the laws of space converged, condensing a dazzling sword light, turning into a human sword, turning around and beheading Kong Lao. When this sword was swung, the world seemed to change color, and the sword glow that covered the sky seemed to be able to crush everything in the world. What a powerful swordsmanship! Kong Lao exclaimed. I saw that he faced Duan Lingtian's strike that was like a combination of human and sword, and the figure continued to become illusory on the face, making Duan Lingshan's sword completely empty. However, Old Kong was still constantly approaching Duan Lingtian while his figure changed. This also made Duan Lingtian feel the pressure. The space law of the Great Perfection is indeed very strong. Now, this veteran Kong's own supreme divine power has been suppressed to a level comparable to that of the superior gods. But, with the space law of the Great Perfection, even if he does not use any of the four worlds, his strength is still better than mine. His current strength should be comparable to that of the invincible upper god. In an instant, Duan Lingtian already had enough pressure. At the same time, I couldn't help but curse in my heart, this old guy, didn't he mean to control his strength to be similar to mine? This is clearly comparable to the strength of the invincible upper god Venerable. It's almost called. Although his current strength is not far from the invincible superior god Venerable, as long as the laws of space and kendo do not break through, he will not be able to reach that realm in one day. Call out. The sword Qi is vertical and horizontal, and Duan Lingtian comes with a sword that turns around. The sword light is dazzling, as if it can tear apart all spaces and destroy all falsehoods in the void. In addition, Duan Lingshan's figure suddenly arched and exerted force at this time, almost unreservedly. In addition to useless weapons, completely unreserved shot. Humph. With a cold snort in his heart, Duan Lingtian turned his body into a sword, caught up with Lao Lao in a blink of an eye, and pierced his body. However, when this sword hole passed through, he found out that this was not Kong Lao's true body at all. The state of the great perfection of the law of space represents the complete mastery of the mystery of the law of space. As long as I can use the power of the surrounding space, in this space, I will be an invincible existence. Kong Lao's voice seemed to come from all directions. Your strength is very strong. If I don't control my divine power to a level comparable to that of the upper gods, I can't be your opponent. Now, I will keep my strength at the level of the invincible superior god, so that I can be sure not to be defeated by you. Kong Lao said the reason why he did not continue to push down the strength. No way. His heaven and earth are not strong. If he further suppresses divine power, even if he uses all the means, it is impossible to comprehend the laws of space to the realm of small perfection, and master the sixth layer of Kendo Duan Lingshan's opponent. Unless, your divine power is enough to suppress my divine power, so that I have no time to use the power of the surrounding space. Kong Lao, in a word, also said the powerful reason for the invincible superior god. This is also the reason why the invincible upper gods are invincible under the strongest, but even the weakest and the strongest can defeat them. Power suppression. Both are high-ranking gods, everyone's divine power is at the same level, how can we talk about who suppresses whom? Kong Lao shot again. Boom. Boom. Above Duan Lingshan's head, Kong Lao's figure appeared, and a palm shot out, as if covering the sky and sun. The closer to Duan Lingtian, the larger the palm print. It's like rising against the wind. Humph. Duan Lingtian let out a low snort and wanted to dodge away. But he found that no matter how he escaped, a huge palm print would appear above his head, rising in the wind. It seems that if you don't shoot him to death, you will not let go of the palm prints. Let him have nowhere to run. Then touch it. After discovering that he could not escape the shrouded range of the palm print, Duan Lingtian was also ruthless. His whole body was shaking with divine power, and the power of the law was displayed, condensing into a sword in his hand. The sword came out, the situation was turbulent, and the palm print fell from the sky. Call out. Boom. The swords and palms slammed into each other, and the terrifying power shock caused Duan Lingtian to feel an unprecedented pressure, as if his internal organs were violently shaken. His throat was even sweeter, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The old man is merciful. Just when Xiao Tianxi sent a voice transmission to Lao Lao and asked him to show mercy, Lao Lao stopped his hand. I saw that Duan Lingtian, who had just spit out a mouthful of blood in the void, with a pale face, his eyes that were a little dazed, suddenly gathered together. Then, facing the palm print above the void, that had not collapsed and continued to press down, he murmured, "So it is. It's no wonder that my kendo is difficult to go further." Sword, not only the sword in the hand is a sword, nor is the sword that condenses divine power a sword. The power of space can be a sword. The law of space can also be a sword. The law of time is also a sword. The law of life is also a sword. While Duan Ling Tian murmured in a low voice, around his body, a law clone suddenly appeared. There are those entangled with the power of space, the power of time covering the body, and the power of life shrouded. Suddenly, Duan Lingshan's deity, and the surroundings of these law clones, suddenly appeared one after another bright sword light, and the sword light became more and more powerful. And then, "Elder Kong, please continue." Duan Ling Tian greeted Kong Lao, and he could see that Kong Lao was closing his hands. "It is good." At this time, Elder Kong also saw that Duan Ling Tian seemed to have fallen into a state of comprehension. "Sword up." Duan Ling Tian murmured, and suddenly the countless sword lights around the body of the deity and the avatar of the law gathered together and roared toward the palm print falling from the sky. "Call out! Call out! Call out! Call out! Call out!" Wang Jian lifted off into the sky, like a meteor turning around, leaving a beautiful scene in the air, and then collided with the palm print that fell from the sky. In an instant. Boom! Boom! The aftermath of the terrifying power spread out, but Duan Ling Tian, on the other hand, was standing there, unscathed, with sword chi filling the sky, turbulent purple robes on his body, an indomitable figure like a sword. Sharp! Kong Lao's palm print was also annihilated and Wang Jian was lifted into the sky. In an instant, the fight between the two was evenly matched and ended in a draw. "Duan Ling Tian, you actually touched the threshold of the 7th rank of Kendo." At the same time, a figure appeared. It was the master of the Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Palace, Xiao Tianxi. At this time, Xiao Tianxi was no longer as serious as before, and when he looked at Duan Ling Tian again, he obviously lost his temper. "The strength you just showed has already entered the ranks of the invincible upper gods. The upper gods, the law is small and perfect, and if you touch the threshold of the 7th stage of the 4 paths of heaven and earth, you can also become an invincible upper god. That is, the current Duan Ling Tian already has the strength comparable to the invincible superior god venerable." Invincible upper god venerable? Duan Lingshan's eyes also lit up in an instant. Just now, he just felt that his perception of Kendo has taken another step forward, and his strength seems to have improved a little, but there is no concept of how much. Now, when he heard Xiao Tianxi's words, he was very excited. Invincible upper gods. This also means that when he enters Bibo Tianfu, he will have the opportunity to meet with the saints and powerhouses of Bibo Xianfu, and may even be important to the saints and powerhouses. In this case, it is absolutely possible to ask the strong sage to take action to dispel the imprisonment of his wife Kir. Chapter 45:19. Thank you Kong Lao. Thank you, Hall Master. Duan Ling Tian stood in the void, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and bowed his hands to thank the old man and Xiao Tianxi. He is very clear. Although, he can get to this point normally. However, it takes time and opportunity. But today, because of Xiao Tianxi's whim, he had the opportunity to come this far. Perhaps, Xiao Tianxi's original intention was just to watch his swordsmanship, so as to improve his own swordsmanship. However, now it is true that he has gotten more benefits. If your swordsmanship enters the 7th rank, there are probably few people who can be your opponents among the invincible high-ranking gods. Kong Lao, it is rare to say so much at one time. And Xiao Tianxi nodded in agreement. Duan Ling Tian, if you take this step, you have truly entered the outer world, and even the top inner circle of myriad realms. Invincible high-ranking gods, in any sage power, are the existence of sweet pastry. More precious than the average supreme power. You have stepped into this realm now, and then entered our Bibo Tianfu. What I thought of asking the palace master to give you can also be overturned. With your strength, you can get better things. Xiao Tianxi said. Even, as long as you stay in Bibo Tianfu for a certain amount of time, or make a certain contribution to Bibo Tianfu. You can even ask our ancestor of the sage of Bibo Tianfu to make a move for you. Duan Lingtian listened calmly to what Xiao Tianxi said earlier. Until Xiao Tianxi said that, Duan Lingtian could no longer contain his excitement. Although his face remained the same, the glittering light in his eyes could not deceive anyone. Duan Lingtian. Xiao Tianxi looked at Duan Lingtian again. The original majesty was no longer, replaced by a bit of embarrassment. Just now, watching you use kendo, there are a lot of doubts. But I don't know, is it convenient to explain? After all, it is the master of the Golden Dragon Palace who is aloof in Bibo Tianfu. He takes the initiative to ask the younger generation for doubts. For him, he needs to bear a lot of psychological pressure. I would like to serve the hall master. Duan Lingtian responded repeatedly. He had already organized the language in his mind just now, and was going to ask Xiao Tianxi if he wanted to continue practicing kendo. Unexpectedly, Xiao Tianxi brought it up first. Naturally, he couldn't pass up such an opportunity to return the favor. The first group of people recruited by Bibo Tianfu broke a lot in the return to the ruins that was opened this time. The second group of people entered and continued to contribute to Bibo Tianfu. At the same time, it also explores the path for the genius powerhouse of Bibo Tianfu. In the Bibo Tianfu, there are still some invincible upper gods who have cultivated swordsmanship to the 4th rank. Of course, most of them are good at laws and only comprehend the small perfection realm. The strongest is only close to the invincible upper god. However, one of them is close to the realm of great perfection because of the law of destruction he is good at, plus he has comprehended the 4th order swordsmanship and his special blood power. His strength, placed in Bibo Tianfu, is also the strongest under the invincible superior god. He is also one of the few top geniuses in the Bibo Tianfu who can compare with Duan Lingtian, according to Hu Mingyue, the powerhouse of Bibo Tianfu who brought Duan Lingtian here. Yao Xingqian. This time, the trip to the ruins opened by Bibo Tianfu, Yao Xingqian is also on the list of Bibo Tianfu's trip. He is the strongest among the people in Bibo Tianfu. Of course, not the strongest among the people sent by Bibo Tianfu. Because, this time, Bibo Tianfu found an invincible upper who had practiced swordsmanship to the 4th rank outside, and mastered the laws of the golden system to the state of great perfection. However, he is only a foreign aide of Bibo Tianfu, not a disciple of Bibo Tianfu. Among the disciples sent by Bibo Tianfu this time, Yao Xingqian is still the strongest. Bibo Tianfu. In a quiet courtyard. A young man in black with a stern face was sitting in front of the stone table, looking at another young man in green across the table. What are you doing with me? This young man in black is Yao Xingqian. As for the youth in Xingyi, it was Yao Xingqian's half-brother, Yao Tianqian. Yao Tianqian, who was also found by Bibo Tianfu this time, realized the swordsmanship to the 4th order invincible superior god. In Bibo Tianfu, although there are also invincible superior gods, but because they are not good at swordsmanship, they can't enter the place of return to the ruins opened this time. Xingqian, I'm your eldest brother, is that how you talk to your eldest brother? The youth in Xingyi, Yao Tianqian, looked at his younger brother, Yao Xingqian, with a playful smile. You are also worthy of saying that you are my eldest brother? Yao Xingqian sneered, Yao Tianqian, you and I have long been strangers, so there is no need to act like a brother. Back then, if it wasn't for my luck, would have died in your hands indirectly. Yao Tianqian, although he is his half-brother by blood, the relationship between the two is not very good. Even Yao Tianqian was jealous of his talent back then. In order to gain the only favor in front of his father, he even planned to kill him. Later, because he had no evidence, his father didn't believe him, so he had no choice but to let it go. It was also that time that he planted the seeds of resentment, so that he ran away from home and joined Bibo Tianfu, which was more powerful than their Yao family. The Yao family is just a semi-holy force. However, because the Yao family has a semi-sacred powerhouse who can kill ordinary semi-sacred people, Yao clan is the strongest among the semi-sacred forces in the Thunder Holy Land. Second only to the power of the saints. Dear brother, wasn't it because you were better than me? Yao Tianxian was still laughing. Now, my golden rules are perfect, I have surpassed you, and I have become an invincible superior god. In addition, my father, and even the clan, have designated me as the only heir of the clan leader. You are no longer a threat to me. Let our brothers go back to the past, how about living in harmony? The current Yao Tianxian looks like a smiling tiger no matter what. Yao Xingqian sneered, Yao Tianxian, don't think I don't know what you're up to. You just don't want to set up my enemy. Today, here, I can also tell you clearly. You and I have long been strangers. For the sake of my father and the blood relationship between you and me, I will not pursue that incident again. See you later, Quan, when I don't know you. Now, you can leave. Yao Xingqian immediately issued an eviction order. And Yao Tianxian also stood up and smiled slightly. Since my brother doesn't want to see my brother so much, then I'll go first. Well, see you when we go to the return to the ruins after a while. When the words fell, Yao Tianxian turned and left. However, in the moment of turning around, his eyes flashed with an extremely cold light. Even in the depths of his eyes, there was a bit of killing intent. My heart is even colder, Yao Xingqian, for the sake of your blood relationship, I gave you a chance. Since you don't know what's wrong, then I can only kill you to avoid future troubles. You are not as strong as me now, and you have no status in Bibo Tianfu. It is difficult to embarrass me. But, if you catch up with me in strength in the future, and gain a certain position in Bibo Tianfu, the situation you and I are in today may be reversed. At that time, you can still be like today and say you want to pursue that incident back then? The current Yao Tianxian has the idea of cutting the grass and eradicating the roots. The land of return to the ruins this time is your desperate brother. My dear brother, cherish and enjoy this last time. When you enter that place of return to the ruins, you will have no future to speak of. Yao Tianxian is clear about his younger brother Yao Xingqian's talent. Although their accomplishments in Kendo are all fourth order, he has only recently broken through, and his younger brother has been invading fourth order for many years, and may step into fifth order at any time. As for the rules, if his younger brother Yao Xingqian hadn't studied the law of destruction, if it were replaced by the law of the 5 elements, he would have been consummated long ago. There is even a high probability that he will enter the great perfection earlier than him. Because of this, thinking that he had murdered his younger brother Yao Xingqian back then, he did not dare to let this younger brother grow up. Because once he grows up, it is likely to become his later trouble. If his younger brother comprehends the law of destruction to the realm of great perfection, his strength will definitely be stronger than him. In addition, behind his younger brother is the giant Bibo Tianfu. No matter what, he has to get rid of it first. Chapter 45-20. In the blink of an eye. A year has passed. The second group of people also came out one after another. The 2 people who were brought from the Duan clan by Hu Mingyue, the powerhouse of Bibo Tianfu, along with Duan Lingtian, only Lan Ming came out. Shui Ao, that outgoing guy, didn't come out until the last moment. Shui Ao is definitely gone. Lan Ming, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, said in a deep voice. Then, before he left, he reminded Duan Lingtian a few more words. If you are not sure of passing some of the tests left by the owner of the returning ruins in that place, don't force it. If it's too hard, you might get hurt. Once you get hurt, you won't be able to deal with any dangers that come next. Lan Ming walked all the way, and there was not much to say. Now, he can say so much, which is very rare. In particular, it was still reminding Duan Lingtian. Clear. Duan Lingtian nodded, his face became slightly solemn, and then asked, are you planning to go back, or try to stay in Bibo Tianfu? Go for it. Lan Ming smiled bitterly and said, I'm not like you, the enchanting evildoer who has been favored by the master of the Golden Dragon Palace. If you want to stay in Bibo Tianfu, you can only try your luck. There must be a lot of people who come this time who also want to stay in Bibo Tianfu. Although, most of the people who were brought to explore the ruins this time were loose cultivators who were found by major forces. However, they would be very happy if they could join the sealing forces in the outside world like Bibo Tianfu. When Lan Ming and others were sent away, the third group has also arrived. The second batch of people had a lower loss rate than the first batch. Obviously, the lessons learned by the first batch of people also made them take a lot less detours. Before the arrival of the third group of people, Duan Lingtian already knew, more than half of this group of people are geniuses of Bibo Tianfu. Although, there may be only a dozen people. But, after all, it is to meet the conditions of the fourth rank of Kendo, and it only needs to exist below the strongest. Under such circumstances, it is very rare to find more than a dozen people in Bibo Tianfu. You must know that even among the hundreds of geniuses in Bibo Tianfu, it is not possible to find two existences who have cultivated to the fourth rank of swordsmanship. There are 4 kinds of heaven and earth. And Kendo is just a branch of the way of weapons. When the third group of people came, Duan Lingshan's gaze couldn't help but swept over them. When some geniuses of Bibo Tianfu knew that Duan Lingtian had been invited into the Golden Dragon Hall by Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Hall of their Bibo Tianfu, they couldn't help looking at him for a while. In these eyes, there is envy, jealousy, and hatred. More dissatisfaction. However, Duan Lingtian didn't care either. He has never been someone who looks at other people's faces. What? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian discovered that among the third group of people, there were 2 people with similar appearances, but they did not stand together, but were separated by a long distance. Looks like brothers. But looking at where they stand, it's like they don't know each other at all. Should just look alike. It's really big in the world, there are no wonders. Bibo Tianfu is looking for a genius powerhouse of the 4th rank of Kendo, and can find 2 people who are so similar. And at this time, in Duan Lingshan's ear, a voice transmission from Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace, came. Duan Lingtian, have you seen those 2 similar people? When Duan Lingtian heard Xiao Tianxi's voice transmission, he quickly responded. He knew that since Xiao Tianxi asked him this question, there must be something else to say. I just received a message from one of my senior brothers from Bibo Tianfu. Let me say hello to you. If you encounter the person on the right in the land of return to the ruins and want to attack the person on the left, be sure to help. Hit him. My senior brother said that he is willing to give back a favor. My senior brother is also a semi-sage of Bibo Tianfu. After that, Xiao Tianxi added. Palace Master, what is this, what's the situation? Duan Lingtian is a little puzzled, isn't it all his own? How can you still get a black hand in there? The man on the left, named Yao Xingchen, is a close disciple of my senior brother, and his strength is not weaker than you before the breakthrough a few months ago. He is a high-ranking god, and he can step into the 5th rank of swordsmanship immediately. The law of destruction that he is good at is also close to the realm of great perfection. Hearing Xiao Tianxi's words, Duan Lingtian glanced at the young man named Yao Xingchen, but he didn't expect this person to be so powerful. But since the opponent is so powerful, why should he be afraid of the other person? Is it possible? Suddenly, a thought appeared in Duan Lingshan's mind. Is that person an invincible upper god? And then, what Xiao Tianxi said to him also verified his conjecture. The man on the right, named Yao Tianchen, is the foreign aide that our Bibo Tianfu has recruited this time. He is from the Yao family in Jianshan, and he is an invincible high-ranking god. His golden law is perfect, and his swordsmanship has also entered the 4th level. He is Yao Xingchen's half-brother. All members of the Yao family cultivate swords, but all members of the Yao family are sword cultivators. My senior brother said that in order to prevent his younger brother Yao Xingchen from being able to compete with him for the patriarch seat, Yao Tianchen tried to kill Yao Xingchen. Yao Xingchen was lucky, he was lucky enough to escape, and later moved into our Bibo Tianfu. He was favored by my senior brother and became my senior brother's close disciple. This time, my apprentice brother refused to invite Yao Tianxian. But Yao Tianxian didn't know where he got the news, so he took the initiative to come to the door and said he would help us Bibo Tianfu go to the returning market to find what we want. Things. The rest of the senior management agreed to him. My brother thinks that his purpose is not that simple, and he may even attack Yao Xingxian inside. Because Yao Xingxian's talent is very high, if he does not die prematurely, it will be a matter of time before the law of destruction wants to enter the realm of great perfection. Sword Dao, sooner or later, will be able to enter the 5th rank. After Xiao Tianxi said this, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized. At the same time, the gaze that looked at Yao Tianxian became a lot more indifferent. For the position of the patriarch, even his own younger brother must be murdered. Such behavior disgusts him. If I had a younger brother, I would never drag him into the water even if I was in danger myself, let alone hurt him for profit. Duan Lingtian said secretly. Yao Xingxian sighed, my senior brother and I didn't say hello to him. Because he is very arrogant, if we said we would ask you to take care of him, he would definitely refuse, even after entering the land of return to the ruins, seeing you stay away. Hearing Xiao Tianxi's next words, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but be speechless. Isn't that arrogant? It's called courting death. Invincible upper god, can he deal with it? Does he have no points in his heart? This time, the 3rd group of people entered the land of return to the ruins. It was presided over by Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace. After the people handed in their acceptance rings, Xiao Tianxi also instructed the other 3 senior officials of Bibo Tianfu present to issue new acceptance rings to Duan Lingtian and others. After these accept rings, after they come out, they must be handed in. In this way, even if the person who goes in gets any treasure, unless it is used inside, once it is brought out, it cannot be hidden. Everyone already knew this. Therefore, it is not excluded. Come in. As Xiao Tianxi opened his mouth, one after another figure stepped into the place of returning to the ruins. And Duan Lingtian also followed the crowd in. Chapter 45-21. As Duan Lingtian's eyes darkened and lit up, he discovered that he and the group of people who came in appeared in a vast open space. Looking around, it was all white, blocked by mist. I don't even know what's behind the fog. However, the first group and the second group came to explore the way first, and said something, which was recorded in the memory jade slip and sent to them, so that they could avoid many detours. Behind them, a space vortex is suspended there, which is obviously the exit of the land of return to the ruins. According to the words of the first group of people who came in and went out. When they first came in, a voice told them that there is 1 entrance to the land of return to the ruins, and 9 exits. After the 9 exits go out, there is a single entrance. Outside. The only entrance that came in should be this. As for going out, in addition to this opening, there are other half options. Duan Lingtian said secretly. Now, 31 people, including Duan Lingtian, have all come in. However, as soon as they came in, someone came up to chat with Duan Lingtian. I heard that your name is Duan Lingtian? You come from the Duan clan below the Tourmaline Holy City? Has the swordsmanship reached the 6th level? Duan Lingtian, is your swordsmanship really at the 6th level? Show it to us. In my impression, there are only saints who have practiced swordsmanship to the 6th stage. Duan Lingtian, you didn't deliberately make false reports to make Hall Master Xiao mistakenly believe that you were invited to enter our Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Hall, right? Now, the people who are approaching the front are obviously the geniuses and powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu. Because, only they can know these things. However, the current Duan Lingtian ignored them. He saw that Yao Xingxian was the first to leave. Not long after Yao Xingxian left, Yao Tianxian also left and followed. Seeing this, Duan Lingtian felt helpless for a while. I know, it's not a good job to promise Xiao Hallmaster. Just came in front of so many people, Yao Tianxian didn't dare to do it. Now, seeing Yao Xingxian leave alone, he also found an opportunity. Because of this, Duan Lingtian didn't pay attention to the group of geniuses from Bibo Tianfu who came forward, and left directly behind Yao Tianxin, followed by distance. Seeing that Duan Lingtian just left, a group of geniuses in Bibo Tianfu were a little stunned. Obviously they didn't expect that Duan Lingtian would not give them face like this. This Lingtian is so arrogant. Completely ignore people. Do you really think you are an invincible superior god? It's so arrogant. Look at it, even if this person enters our Bibo Tianfu and enters the Golden Dragon Palace, it won't be long before he must die. Duan Lingtian did not hear the words of a group of geniuses from the Bibo Tianfu behind. Even if you hear it, you won't care. Now he is following behind Yao Tianxin, and now Yao Tianxin is following Yao Xingqian. However, after all, it is the invincible superior god. Yao Tianxin soon discovered Duan Lingtian's tracking, stopped, turned his head suddenly, and looked at Duan Lingtian like electricity. Boy, what are you doing with me? In Yao Tianxin's eyes, a cold light flickered. The young man in purple clothed in front of him, he also heard outside just now, is a top genius who has cultivated to the 6th rank in Kendo. For this kind of genius, he was extremely jealous in his heart. You must know that even if they are all sword cultivators in the Yao family, in the long history of the Yao family, no one can step into the 6th rank of Kendo, and at most they will step into the peak of the 5th rank of Kendo. That one was also the strongest semi-sage in the history of their Yao clan. However, after all, it cannot resist the erosion of the years, and under the 10,000-year catastrophe of the more and more powerful supreme power, it will be wiped out. Now, the 2 semi-sages of their Yao clan have also cultivated Kendo to the 5th level. The land of returning to the ruins is so big, why do you say I'm following you? Duan Lingtian said lightly. Don't follow me anymore. Yao Tianxin gave Duan Lingtian a warning look, and said in a cold voice, otherwise, I will kill you. The voice fell, and he continued to follow Yao Xingqian. He doesn't think that if he really wants to make a move, the person in front of him can be his opponent, and he even has a certain degree of certainty to kill the opponent. However, he had to use the whole card left to Yao Xingqian. If he didn't have that trump card, with his strength, although he could defeat the existence of the same level as Yao Xingqian in front of him, it would still be difficult to kill the opponent. Especially if you want to kill each other without disturbing others, it is almost impossible. Once there is too much movement, if he can't kill the others, as long as one person goes out and spreads the news, he will die when he goes out. There is not only one exit in this place of return to the ruins. Therefore, he had to think carefully. Moreover, once he starts now, there must be no small movement. Yao Xingqian will also notice it, and even become vigilant. In that case, it would be even more difficult for him to kill Yao Xingqian. Kill me? Duan Lingtian smiled lightly. Then, as if you didn't hear the other party's words, continue to follow the other party. Yao Tianxin also quickly discovered Duan Lingtian's follow-up again. His face turned ashen. He stopped again, and stared at Duan Lingtian coldly. Boy, what are you trying to do? Are you challenging my tolerance limit? In Yao Tianxin's eyes, the killing intent was awe-inspiring. The divine power on his body oscillated, the faint golden light gradually solidified, and the 5 sharp swordsman's aura spread out. I heard that you are an invincible upper god. Duan Lingtian still had a faint smile on his face, and asked bluntly. That's right. Yao Tianxin said proudly, so, I advise you to stop following me. Otherwise, I will kill you. Although it is difficult, it is not impossible. You are an unparalleled genius in the Tourmaline Holy City, but in my Yao Tianxin's eyes, that's what it is. Yao Tianxin does have his proud capital. He was the first among the younger generation of the Yao family to comprehend the law to the realm of great perfection. Otherwise, he would not be designated as the next patriarch of the Yao family. It's enough to be an invincible upper god. Duan Lingtian nodded, and then the divine power began to swept up from his body. He looked at Yao Tianxin again, with a little more fighting intent. How about a fight with me? I've been holding back for months. Since Kendo touched the 7th order threshold, Duan Lingtian never made a move. Because there is no chance to make a move. At that time, all the people present were a group of superpowers, and they really wanted to fight him, but they also completely abused him. Now, it is difficult to have an opponent. Moreover, he is still an invincible high-ranking who is good at kendo. He, too, was eager to try. Chapter 45-22. Is it just you, worthy of self-proclaimed sun and moon? Yao Tianxin thought that after the other party confirmed that he was the invincible superior god, he would definitely retreat. Who would have thought that after knowing that he was an invincible high-ranking god, the other party would take the initiative to initiate an invitation to learn from each other? Discussion? Although he didn't expect it in his heart, on the surface, Yao Tianxin didn't show it. Instead, he smiled coldly. What Yao Tianxin cultivates is the method of killing. Let's learn from each other. I don't understand, and I want. If you really want to fight me, you will be dead. You, think about it. In his opinion, he said that for this sake, the person in front of him should always retreat, right? After all, he is an invincible upper god. What is the invincible upper god? Under the strongest existence, the invincible existence. However, what the purple-clothed youth said next made him even more unexpected. Death to life? It's also okay. As long as you are happy. Duan Lingtian smiled slightly, and the smile was harmless to humans and animals, but when it fell into Yao Tianxin's eyes, it seemed extraordinarily hateful. Boy, are you sure you want to fight me? Thinking that Yao Xingchen is probably far away from the front now, and may even be about to leave the range that he can track, he is so anxious for a while that he has no intention to stay here for a long time. Invincible upper god, is there so much nonsense? Duan Lingtian frowned, a little impatient. Humph. Yao Tianxin snorted coldly, boy, if you want to decide between life and death with me, after you go out, you and I will decide between life and death. I want to show those superpowers of Biyao Tianfu and the master of the Golden Dragon Palace the person he likes is vulnerable in front of me, Yao Tianxin. As for now, I still have business, I don't have time to play with you. The words fell, and Yao Tianxin's body flashed with golden light, like a golden meteor, swept away into the distance. However, he just flew out a distance, but stopped in an instant. Only because Duan Lingtian appeared on his way, and hugged the Qiqiao Linglong sword, looking at him with a smile. If you don't fight me, don't even think about finding what you want in this ruined land. Thing. Why does Yao Tianxin not want to fight? How could he not know? I just wanted to hunt down Yao Xingchen. To help Yao Xingchen, he agreed to Shao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace. Now, he really wants to discuss with Yao Tianxin. Simply the best of both worlds. Under such circumstances, how could Yao Tianxin run away? As for Yao Tianxin, who was stopped by Duan Lingtian repeatedly and twice, his face was extremely ugly for a while, and he was really angry. At the same time, he also knew that if he didn't fight the person in front of him, it would be difficult to get rid of him. If you fight, kill the opponent, you don't have much confidence. However, defeating the opponent is 100% sure. His heart was extremely cold. Today, I will leave the trump card to Yao Xinghe. For the time being, I just want to defeat this short-sighted guy and let him retreat. After I go out, I will find a chance to kill him. Yao Tianxin already had killing intent towards Duan Lingtian in his heart. Humph. With a cold snort, Yao Tianxin stared at Duan Lingtian indifferently. Boy, since you want to fight me, I will do it for you. It's good for you to know. Even if your strength is very close to the invincible upper god, but in front of me, the invincible upper god, you are like the light of rice grains, vulnerable to a single blow. The stars are never able to compete with the sun and the moon. Yao Tianxin's voice fell, his body was raging with golden light, and there was an extra sword in his hand. The whole body was dark, and it exuded an incomparable aura. It was obviously his supreme artifact. In front of Duan Lingtian, who holds the supreme artifact, he didn't dare to care. Hearing Yao Tianxin's words, Duan Lingtian smiled. Xingchen, naturally, it will never be able to compete with the sun and the moon. Only. Just you, are you worthy of calling yourself the sun and moon? When the voice fell, Duan Lingshan's mouth also had a sneer. And Yao Tianxian was angered by Duan Lingtian unsurprisingly, and even had the urge to take out Yao Xingqian's trump card and kill the person in front of him. This guy, speaking too hard, right? Dare to mock him? Boy, you are courting death. With a loud shout, Yao Tianxian started to move, the supreme divine sword in his hand swept, and the dazzling golden sword light shot straight into the sky, and then roared down towards Duan Lingtian as if with a world-breaking momentum. Hum. The sword fell, the void trembled, and the space swayed, as if it might be cracked at any time. Obviously, it has almost reached the limit of the strength that this land of return to the ruins can hold. This is also the reason why this place of return to the ruins prohibits the entry of the most powerful beings. At most, it can only accommodate the invincible upper gods. The golden rule of the great perfection is really powerful. In the face of Yao Tianxian's whistling sword, Duan Lingtian exclaimed in amazement, but his expression did not change, and then he swung the sword out in a hurry. It's just, your swordsmanship is too rubbish. Rubbish. In a word, Yao Tianxian almost vomited blood. The fourth order kendo, you call it garbage? You must know that even in the Yao clan behind him with all the swordsmen, he and his younger brother Yao Xingqian are the only ones in his generation who have cultivated swordsmanship to the 4th level. The rest of the people, as for a few people, have stepped into the 3rd level of kendo. However, he also knew that if the opponent really understood the 6th order kendo, then he was indeed qualified to judge his kendo in this way. Then watch carefully, how my trash swordsman defeated you. Yao Tianxian shouted angrily, and the golden light on the sword in his hand became more and more dazzling, as if it turned into a scorching sun, illuminating the entire place of return to the ruins, dazzling. Even Yao Xingqian, who was in a far-away place, and others, also discovered it. Yao Xingqian frowned. It's Yao Tianxian. He shot. Have you met a postgraduate student? Shaking his head, he had no plans to join in the fun. He came in this time with a mission, and he also had his own ambitions. He hoped that he could find a way to step into the 5th rank of kendo in this place of return that was clearly left by strong kendo experts. Once his kendo steps into the 5th step, his attainments in the law of destruction can also go further. As early as many years ago, his law of destruction was tied to kendo. Now, as long as the kendo goes a step further and steps into the 5th step, he is sure to let the law of destruction step into the realm of great perfection, and since then he has become an invincible upper goddess. However, although Yao Xingqian did not go to join in the fun. However, the group of people from Bibo Tianfu, as well as the talented and powerful people who were invited by Bibo Tianfu, had not gone far, but at this time, they all joined in to watch the fun. It's Duan Lingtian. He fought with Yao Tianxian. Yao Tianxian is an invincible high-ranking god, he dares to provoke him. Is he courting death? These people had already been attracted before Yao Tianxian's sword glow fell. Chapter 45-23. No one thought that Duan Lingtian could be Yao Tianxian's opponent. Although, Duan Lingtian's strength is very strong, even enough to compare to the strongest disciples under the invincible superior gods of Bibo Tianfu. However, that is only under the invincible superior god Venerable. This Yao Tianxian is the heir to the patriarch of the Yao clan in Jianshan, the 4th rank of kendo, and he has also comprehended the laws of the golden system to the realm of great perfection. He is a real evildoer. The invincible high god Venerable, known as the strongest under the Xian. This paragraph of Ling Tian, although he is the type of powerhouse closest to the invincible high god Venerable, is only the closest. With the real invincible high god Venerable, there is still a big difference. There is almost no suspense in this battle. I really don't know what this paragraph of Ling Tian thought, to provoke Yao Tianxian. Perhaps, the two of them have hatred, Yao Tianxian wants to deal with him. If that's the case, I can only blame him for being unlucky. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Yao Tianxian slashed down from the sky with a sword, like a giant sword standing in the sky, falling across the space from the sky and sweeping towards Duan Lingtian. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian not only did not mean to avoid, but even took a step forward. "Fight against me, I advise you that it's better not to use your trash kendo." The words fell, and the power of space law on Duan Lingtian's body was turbulent, merged with divine power, and injected it into the 7 apertures Linglong sword. And then, the swordsmanship that touched the 7th order threshold was also revealed. In an instant, the surrounding air vibrated, and after that, it seemed to be condensed into a series of translucent light and shadows, turned into sword shapes, and slowly spread and swept. "Call out." The sword whistling sounded, but it was Duan Lingtian who brought out the sword. As soon as the sword came out, the thousands of translucent light and shadow condensed swords in the air also swept out, as if with an aura that could destroy the sky and destroy the earth. In full view, Yao Tianshan's gigantic golden lightsaber that roared down, followed by Duan Lingtian's 7-colored sword glow, which seemed to be weak, stopped in the void. Then, the golden giant sword was shrouded in the translucent sword shadows that roared along with the colorful sword lights, as if it was surrounded by locusts passing through. At last, a scene that shocked the audience and even Yao Tianshan, the party involved, appeared. I saw that the golden giant sword, after stopping for a moment, actually cracked open inch by inch under the translucent sword shadow like a locust, and then disappeared into the void. "Call out." The colorful sword glow continued to move forward, killing Yao Tianshan. Yao Tianshan came back to his senses, quickly took a defensive posture, and all the divine power swept up, and the golden law of the great perfection was integrated into it. A large sword and shield appeared in front of him. "I told you, in front of me, don't play your trash kendo." Duan Lingtian spoke again with an indifferent tone. At the same time, the colorful lightsaber touched the sword and shield, and it shattered directly. "If you don't use kendo, your defense, I may not be able to break down in such a short period of time." As Duan Lingtian's voice fell, the colorful sword light continued to kill Yao Tianshan. And Yao Tianshan, at this time, finally sensed it. 7th Order. You actually understood the 7th Order swordsmanship. Yao Tianshan suddenly screamed, and his voice was full of astonishment and inconceivable. At the same time, he also used his defense again. This time, he obeyed. "Don't dare to use kendo again." Just relying on divine power and the golden rule of the great perfection realm, Duan Lingtian's colorful sword glow was stopped, and after a while, the colorful sword glow was also wiped out. At the same time, Yao Tianshan's face was pale. In the process of defense, the consumption of him is not small. However, although he was slightly injured to a certain extent, the current Yao Tianshan obviously had no time to take this into account. He looked at Duan Lingtian again with a bit of fear in his eyes. 7th Order Kendo? Fuck. Really fake? Really? The onlookers were shocked by the scene in front of them. Yao Tianshan, the invincible high-ranking god, was actually pressed and beaten by Duan Lingtian? Now, when they heard Yao Tianshan's words, they were all stunned. 7th level Kendo. Is there anyone in the world who can understand it? As far as I know, in all worlds, and even beyond the world, the strongest existence in Kendo has only comprehended the 6th Order Kendo, and they are all powerful existences among saints. If you comprehend the 7th Order swordsmanship, if you comprehend the profound meaning of the law to the realm of great perfection, once you become the strongest, then you will be the top existence among the saints, right? It is estimated that they have surpassed the saints and stepped into another realm. The 7th level Zeon, well known. Even a saint is only the 6th rank of the strongest. And the powerhouse above the 7th rank, according to rumors, the world, and even the contemporary world outside the world, does not exist. The place where they are now is said to have been left by the powerhouses above the 7th rank that appeared in ancient times. 7th Order Kendo. Hearing Yao Tianshan's words, and seeing Yao Tianshan's eyes again, Duan Lingtian smiled lightly. If I understand the 7th Order Kendo, just the sword just now, even if you don't use Kendo later, you can't stop it. When he touched the threshold of the 7th order kendo, Duan Lingtian discovered, his kendo can already affect the surrounding air and all nearby forces, making them part of the kendo for him to drive. Yao Tianshan's kendo, which only has the 4th rank, was suppressed by his kendo counter-terrorism in the process of his shot just now, which became his side's help. It is precisely because of this that Yao Tianshan's attack was so easily broken by him. If Yao Tianshan didn't use swordsmanship from the beginning, and if he fought against him with divine power and the laws of the golden element, at most he would be tied with Yao Tianshan, and it would be difficult to hurt Yao Tianshan. Unfortunately, Yao Tianshan didn't do that. Impossible. Hearing Duan Lingshan's denial, Yao Tianshan did not believe it. My Yao family has cultivated swords for generations, although no one in history has cultivated to the 7th level of kendo. However, in the ancient books of my Yao family, there are still a record of the 7th level of kendo. Once the swordsmanship steps into the 7th step, all things within a certain distance around it can be transformed into swords. The swordsmanship below the 7th rank performed by the opponent can be seized and used for one's own use. Obviously, Yao Tianshan concluded that Duan Lingtian had mastered the 7th rank of kendo. You have comprehended the 7th order swordsmanship. Even if the space law you have comprehended is only the space law of the small perfection realm, you are already an invincible upper god venerable, and you are the strongest among the invincible upper god venerable. Am not your opponent either. Although Yao Tianshan was unwilling to accept it, he had to accept it. The person in front of him, comprehending the 7th order kendo, made him feel weak for a while, and at the same time, deep in his heart, the judgment of the other party who recognized the kendo he mastered, garbage kendo. Compared with the other party's kendo, the kendo he understood is indeed garbage kendo. Chapter 45-24. History partition. Seeing that Yao Tianshan had lost his fighting spirit, Duan Lingtian shook his head. I originally planned to tell the other party that I had only touched the threshold of the 7th rank of kendo, and had not yet stepped into the 7th rank of kendo. Now, I am afraid that the other party may not believe it. Maybe he thought that Duan Lingtian was looking for sandbags. Call. Duan Lingtian flickered and swept in the direction Yao Xingchen left just now. Seeing this, Yao Tianshan's face suddenly sank. He had originally planned to track Yao Xingchen, but he could only dismiss the idea. He could almost predict, if Duan Lingtian encounters him against Yao Xingchen, there is a high probability that the other party will help Yao Xingchen, because now Duan Lingtian is also a disciple of the Golden Dragon Hall of Biyao Tianfu, and Yao Xingchen is his own. If there is this Lingtian, even if I use the whole card, it will be difficult to kill that Yao Xingchen. Forget it, count him lucky. After a year in the land of return to ruins, I still don't believe that he is lucky every time and appears near Duan Lingtian. Thinking of this, Yao Tianshan was relieved again. Then, went in the other direction. And the group of talented geniuses from the Biyao Tianfu present at this time mostly looked at each other in dismay, and the depths of their eyes were full of fear. After knowing that Duan Lingtian had mastered the 7th order swordsmanship, no one among them would speak bad words of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian has mastered the 7th order swordsmanship, which also means that Duan Lingtian has stepped into the realm of invincible upper gods, and he is still the strongest among invincible upper gods. Even Yao Tianshan, an invincible high-ranking god, is not his opponent. Certainly. They know it too. Not an opponent is not an opponent. Both are invincible superior gods. Want to kill another superior god, even if the strength is better than the other party, it is difficult to achieve. Unless you make multiple preparations and make the opponent hard to guard, then there is a chance to kill the opponent. It's only a trace. Duan Lingtian moved forward all the way, and found that Yao Xingchen had long since disappeared, and he also realized for a while that he was too careless. Yao Xingchen did not stop to watch the liveliness between him and Yao Tianshan. After walking forward for a while, after confirming that Yao Xingchen could not be found, he stopped looking for himself and began to observe the surroundings, and his consciousness swept out. Officially began to spy on this place of return to the ruins. The place of return to the ruins is said to be an ancient artifact before the blockade of history, left by the supreme powers above the 7th rank. Since history blocked, this world has never been born with a superpower above the 7th order. If you want to step into the 7th rank of Xian, in addition to a certain law, you need to comprehend the realm of great perfection, and one of the 4 ways of heaven and earth must also comprehend the 7th rank. This is the threshold of the 7th order Xian. In recent years, it's not that no one has stepped into the 7th rank of the 4 paths of heaven and earth. However, these people have either perished without becoming a superpower, or the law has not stepped into the realm of great perfection. It's like, the 7th order of the 4 worlds of heaven and earth is in conflict with the laws of the great perfection realm, and it is difficult to go hand in hand. Even if it's me now. Since the last time Kendo stepped into the 7th step, Duan Lingtian found that the way forward in Kendo has become extremely vast and clueless, and until now, there has been no progress. If you want to step in, it feels more difficult than going to the sky. In the past, the senior sword of time, it is said that he realized the swordsmanship to the 6th rank, and touched the threshold of the 7th rank. In addition, the law seems to be close to the great perfection. Furthermore, he is cultivating the kendo of time, and the 2 go hand in hand. Once the kendo enters the 7th level, the law will also step into the great perfection together with a high probability. But he died. Some people say that a sage shot him and didn't want him to go further, because, once he goes a step further, he may directly step into the 7th rank of Xian, surpassing all the sages at that time. Would like to see. Some people say that at the moment of his breakthrough, he encountered the exclusive heavenly robbery of the 7th rank of Xian, and because he did not succeed in transcending the calamity, he perished. Some people say that in the process of breaking through, he was attacked by laws and swordsmanship, and he died and disappeared. The 7th rank of the strongest is like a peculiar magic. After the historical partition, there has never been a 7th order Xian existence. The only traces left in this world of the 7th tier powerhouses are the land of return to the ruins that have been gradually discovered. However, after so many years, countless places of return to the ruins have been unearthed. Even when many people, including the strongest, have gone in to explore, they still haven't found why the 7th tier of the strong cannot be born before and after the historical partition. The clues of the strong. After a moment, Duan Lingtian came back to his senses, and shook his head with a wry smile. I'm only now looking at the threshold of stepping into the invincible upper god venerable. It's too early to think about this. What I can do now is to continue to improve myself. The laws of space, since the last time Kong Lao spared no effort in pointing out, has been slightly improved, and it is no longer difficult to progress. Whether it's Kong Lao or that Hall Master Shao, the advice they gave me was to improve my own swordsmanship, and let my half-dimensional space swordsman evolve into a real space swordsman. The real space kendo is completely tied to the kendo. For example, my current kendo, if it can be perfectly integrated into the space law that I am good at, the current kendo realm will be enough to help my space law enter the great perfection realm. To put it bluntly, it is to completely turn the swordsmanship into one's own, without any other impurities. But only Duan Lingtian knew. It's not that simple to make his kendo completely his own. His kendo is mixed with too much kendo perception of his master, and he is used to it, and he has been subtly affected. He wants to integrate the laws of space into it and expel his master's kendo perception. How easy is it to say? Here is the place of return to the ruins left by the strong rank 7 and above who are good at kendo. His kendo must be above the 7th rank. Maybe I can find something here that is helpful to me right now. Duan Lingtian said secretly. Not just him. Even for the other geniuses from Bibo Tianfu, including those from Bibo Tianfu, after entering the land of return to the ruins, the most important thing is to improve himself and help him. As for those things that Bibo Tianfu wants, they put it behind. As for those high-level officials of Bibo Tianfu, it is naturally impossible not to know this. But they couldn't do it either. Who let this place of return to the ruins, only let the most powerful, understand the swordsmanship to the existence of the 7th order and above. They have no choice, nor can they interfere too much with the will of those who enter. Chapter 45-25. Because of this place of return to the ruins, two groups of people have come in front. Therefore, some valuable things that can be found in the front have been emptied. Now, Duan Lingtian can only explore and go deeper. However, those who entered the first two batches also gave them a good head and shared a lot of useful experience, allowing Duan Lingtian to avoid several dangerous places one after another. Go deeper. In the process, he also got some things, including the same thing that Bibo Tianfu wanted. After walking forward for a while, Duan Lingtian found that there were many people gathered in front of him, and then looked forward. I saw a sudden shock in the void ahead. After getting closer, he also heard the voices of those who came in with him around in front of him. What's the situation? What a strong killing intent. It feels as if something was born. There seems to be an aura of kendo in it. Most of the people around were raw faces, and there was only one person. Duan Lingtian had some impressions, and he was also a foreign aide from Bibo Tianfu. In addition to Yao Tianchen, another invincible superior god. Before he came in, the invincible superior god Venerable, Shao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace, had also mentioned to him that he was an invincible superior venerable who had comprehended the swordsmanship to the 4th rank and mastered the earth-based laws of the great perfection. His kendo is more defensive. It is said that since he became the invincible superior god, no one under the strongest can make him hurt. Of course, his defense is strong, and his attack is weak among the invincible upper gods. But, even so, his attack is not comparable to the non-invincible superior god Venerable. He seems to be called Jingbin. Just when Duan Lingtian was about to come forward to watch the fun, suddenly, the surrounding world shook. Then, a strong kendo aura came from the pavement. Duan Lingtian saw that above the area where the onlookers in front were, and above the sky, a hole suddenly opened. After the hole appeared, gray light was entangled, and there were also black lightning that was thick as an adult's arm. It looked mighty. A dangerous aura suddenly spread. It seems something is not good. Duan Lingtian had the intention of retreating. And the invincible superior god Venerable Zheng Bin in front of him also retreated almost when Duan Lingtian retreated. However, at this moment, boom! Boom! The ground shook for a while, as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Above the sky dome in the void in front of him, suddenly a huge sword light broke through the sky and fell. At the moment when the sword glow appeared, a powerful aura of destruction spread out towards the surroundings. Not good. Duan Lingtian was about to turn around and run away. But at this moment, he discovered that there seemed to be an irresistible invisible force that bound him in place, making him unable to move at all. His body couldn't move at all. Only consciousness remains. The eyes can still see things too. In the distance in front, the invincible superior god Venerable Jingbin was obviously in the same situation as Duan Lingtian at this time. Boom! There was another loud noise, and after the huge sword light falling from the sky in front was fully revealed, a sharp and unparalleled force turned into a ray of light and swept in all directions. The closest group of people, in an instant, in Duan Lingshan's eyes, the moment they were enveloped in light, they turned into ashes. And then, that Jingbin also turned into ashes after a moment of radiance. Duan Lingtian saw that the light like the light of destruction was getting closer and closer, and his body was still unable to control, his heart was split, and his heart was desperate. The light is getting closer. Soon, Duan Lingtian was drowned in it. It didn't take long. Shao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace, who was outside the land of returning ruins, changed abruptly. And the other three powerhouses of Bibo Tianfu around him seemed to have noticed something at this time, and their faces changed greatly. Just now, half of the kendo genius who entered our Bibo Tianfu died? One of the strongest, with a look of astonishment on his face. He just received a message from Bibo Tianfu, saying that half of the disciples of Bibo Tianfu who entered the land of return to the ruins this time had their soul beads shattered. Xiao Tianxi and others obviously changed their color because they received the summons. What's the situation? Didn't two groups of people enter the land of the ruins before? Those two groups of people seem to have never experienced such rapid casualties. Hall Master Xiao, what do you think? The three supreme powers looked at Xiao Tianxi in unison. Among the people present, Xiao Tianxi is the leader, because Xiao Tianxi is the master of the Golden Dragon Palace of Bibo Tianfu. His status in Bibo Tianfu is higher than them, and his strength is stronger than them. This group of people should have touched some taboo in the land of return to the ruins. Otherwise, it stands to reason that this situation is impossible. Xiao Tianxi guessed in a deep voice. Now, he can only make guesses based on the experience of returning to the ruins that he knew in the past. Plus, they can't do anything. Because, this place of return to the ruins, they can't enter. Even if they wanted to force it in, they couldn't. If violent means are used, this land of ruins may even self-destruct, and then turn it into a single blow to counter-kill those who use violent means. There have even been saints killed in this way in the history of the Outer Lands. The powerhouses who left the land of return to the ruins are all super powerhouses before the historical partition, at least the existence of the 7th Order Xian, and there may even be the existence of the 8th and 9th Order Xians. Duan Lingtian. If it is said that other people perish, Xiao Tianxi does not feel much. However, when he thought of Duan Lingtian, the genius he had just invited into his Golden Dragon Palace, he couldn't help but raise some expectations in his heart. I hope he is not among the people who perished. Duan Lingtian is too enchanting. He can even foresee that as long as Duan Lingtian is given enough time, even Duan Lingtian will not be able to open the shackles of the 7th Order Xian, and he will definitely become a superpower in the world outside the world, and even in the world. The existence standing at the peak of the 6th Order Xian. Of course, the premise is that Duan Lingtian can step into the realm of Xian. The stronger the talent, the better the foundation of the superior gods. After just breaking through to the superior gods and mastering the power of the laws of a small perfection, once they refuse the call of the superior state, they want to step into the realm on their own. Xian, not easy. Even he was lucky enough to step into Xian back then. At that time, the power of the law was not even perfect, but only close, and the swordsmanship was only the 4th level. It was only after he stepped into Xian that he understood the laws of the great perfection. Duan Lingtian, if you die, it will be a big loss to my Bibo Tianfu. Chapter 45-26. Out of Bounds. Wind's Sanctuary. On a cantilevered cliff. A handsome young man in a green robe was surrounded by 6 people. Among the 6 people, there are young people, middle-aged people, and old people. Including the youth in Qingpao, they are all disciples of a nearby semi-holy force, Langyajianga, but looking at the current posture, they are obviously fighting in the same room. The wind is blowing. Among the 6, one of the old men looked at the young man in green robe surrounded by them with a grin. You are really amazing. Just the middle god, you have mastered the 4th Order swordsmanship. You can master the 4th Order swordsmanship with this level of cultivation. I am afraid you have a lot of adventures. Say it, how about sharing with us senior brothers? After speaking, the old man's eyes were full of greed. The same goes for the other 5. The wind is blowing. A middle-aged man said with a sneer, don't try to spread the news in vain. We have already set up an interference formation here, just to wait for you to enter the urn. Now, you are calling Tian not an earth not working. You are only in the middle of the gods, and you are valued by the deputy pavilion. Feng Qingyang, you are really amazing. Now, how do you understand the secret of the 4th Order swordsmanship before you reach the upper gods? Follow us talk about it? Feng Qingyang, those who know the current affairs are Junjie. The young man in green robe is Duan Lingshan's master, and the wind is light. After he left the anti-god realm back then and came to a place outside the realm, he went all the way to the vicinity of the Langyajianga area. When he was beheading a big monster, the deputy pavilion master of Langya Sword Pavilion happened to pass by. Seeing his amazing swordsmanship, he sent an invitation to him to enter Langya's sword pavilion. To know, at that time, he was just a lower god. And the deputy pavilion master of Langya's sword pavilion is the existence of the fourth rank of Xian. The other party did not propose to accept Feng Qingyang as his disciple, because Feng Qingyang was showing the fourth order kendo at that time, and the deputy pavilion master of Langya Jianga also had the fourth order kendo. He gets along with Feng Qingyang, more of an equal exchange. And he, without knowing that Feng Qingyang hid most of the kendo, in the process of communicating with Feng Qingyang, the kendo entered the realm very quickly. Because of this, he valued Feng Qingyang more and more. It also collected many treasures from heaven and earth to improve Feng Qingyang's cultivation. Therefore, in a short time, Feng Qingyang stepped into the middle god. Even now, it is not far from the realm of the upper gods. Feng Qingyang did not expect that someone would have the idea of playing his own kendo. Also, do you think his kendo came from some kind of chance encounter? Are these people out of their minds? Or did jealousy drive them completely crazy and irrational? Even if he got the kendo of today because of chance and adventure, can that process be able to be shared with others? Perhaps, they didn't intend to let me leave today, whether they gained anything or not. The wind whispered softly. Among these 6 people, there was one person who he felt was just a little familiar at first. Now, after thinking about it, he suddenly realized. Wasn't it the twin brother of the disciple of Langya's sword pavilion who had conflicted with him and was bestowed to death by the deputy pavilion master in Langya's sword pavilion? 6 upper gods, surround me with a middle god. What a big battle. Facing the siege of 6 people, Feng Qingyang's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled lightly, as if there was nothing in the world which could make his mood fluctuate. Feng Qingyang, sensible people, tell us why your swordsmanship is improving so fast. A young man asked in a cold voice. Feng Qingyang, if you don't want to die, you'd better cooperate. Another middle-aged man also said. Feng Qingyang still smiled, everyone, even if you didn't plan to let me leave alive? If I leave, even if you have gained something today, do you plan to leave Langya's sword pavilion forever? Are you not afraid that I will sue you on the side of the deputy pavilion master? Since I didn't intend to leave me alive, why should I cooperate with you? Hearing Feng Qingyang's words, the expressions of the 6 people changed. Feng Qingyang, if you cooperate, we can let you die quickly. Otherwise, we will slowly torture you to death, and finally let you die. The old man gritted his teeth and threatened. Feng Qingyang was still smiling, really? So, I'll wait and see. Hearing Feng Qingyang's words, the 6 of them couldn't hold back any longer, they all shot and killed Xiang Feng Qingyang. Even if Feng Qingyang is only the middle god, they still don't dare to be careless, because when Feng Qingyang was in Langya Jianga, he did not defeat the upper god. In the face of the 6 people's shots, Feng Qingyang sighed, since you are looking for death, I will fulfill you. The voice fell, but Feng Qingyang didn't see any movement. The green robe on his body moved, and a fierce and unparalleled aura swept up from him. In an instant, the surrounding air, and even all the rocks on the cliff, turned into sharp swords, gathered into 10,000 swords, and gathered towards him. Go towards the siege of the 6. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. The inexhaustible sound of sword chirping sounded, and the 6 people had just set off for a distance, far away from the wind, but their eyes were lost, and their bodies fell into the air. But their whole bodies were pierced by countless Dao sharp swords, as if 10,000 swords pierced their hearts. Call. Feng Qingyang moved and left. A rippling ripple swept across his feet. The next moment, the 6 corpses were covered, then gradually decayed, and finally turned into dust and ashes, scattered with the wind, as if they had never appeared. The law of time, it is not far from being completely integrated into my swordsmanship. Once integrated, my law of time can step into the realm of great perfection. The median is repaired, the 7th order swordsmanship, and the law of time re-enters the realm of great perfection. Apart from me, who else is there? With an indifferent smile, Feng Qingyang turned into a gust of wind and headed towards Langyajianga. He didn't know until he came to the outer lands. The time sword inheritance he got, the time sword, is so amazing. However, his current achievements, compared to the time sword of the past, are not inferior. At best, his cultivation is not as good as the time sword at that time. The sword of time was already the strongest at that time. However, his swordsmanship has surpassed the original time sword. Of course, the law of time is even worse. When the sword of time of those years fell, the law of time was perfect, and Kendo erased the seventh order threshold. When Kendo was about to enter the seventh order, the punishment came. Time sword almost died under the punishment of heaven. At a critical moment, relying on the environment of the Azura Hell in the anti-god realm, and self-destructing the way of swordsmanship, he escaped the catastrophe, but he also ran out of fuel and lost his former glory. Don't be in a hurry to step into the realm of the upper gods. According to what the senior sword of time said, the four realms of heaven and earth, once they step into the seventh order and the realm of great perfection together with the law, they will usher in unprecedented punishment. Heavenly punishment is based on cultivation. The higher the cultivation, the stronger. After the historical separation, no one above the upper gods can make the four worlds step into the seventh order at the same time, and the law is perfect. Even before the historical partition, none of the most powerful people could do that, and there were very few high-ranking gods. Before the historical partition, most people completed the most critical step in front of the upper gods. Because of knowing this. Therefore, even if Feng Qingyang has recently been enough to step into the realm of high-ranking gods, he still suppresses his cultivation. Because, he wants to imitate the predecessors before the historical partition, and face the punishment that is enough to lay the foundation of the seventh rank of the strongest. Senior Time Sword, it was only before his death that he realized this. It's a pity that the land outside the world, and even the contemporary world, doesn't seem to realize this. Otherwise, there will be no Xian seventh order existence so far. The wind let out a sigh. At the same time, he had returned to Langia Sword Pavilion. In Langia Sword Pavilion, he was just a genius disciple who was gifted in swordsmanship, but had an ordinary talent in law. Because of good luck, he was valued by the deputy pavilion master. He, too, enjoys this identity. Before the punishment comes, it is good to be a little transparent and keep a low profile. Chapter 45-27. However, in this Langia Sword Pavilion, it is estimated that I won't be able to stay for too long. My law of time will soon be perfectly integrated into the swordsmanship. When the law is complete, the punishment of heaven will surely be earth-shattering. It's better to find a place to transcend the calamity. Let's go back to the Azura Hell in the god-defying realm. There are many fierce places in the anti-god realm, including Azura Hell. There are many places that reveal mysteries. It is suspected that they were left behind before the historical partition. When I pass the punishment, the law of time is perfect, the seventh rank of swordsmanship, and then step into the upper gods, I will explore those places. Feng Qingyang had already planned to leave Langia Sword Pavilion and return to the anti-god realm. I don't know. Xiaotian, how is it now? Thinking of his own disciple Duan Lingtian, Feng Qingyang couldn't help sighing. His disciple, he has carried too many things in his life. Not like him, alone. After I have passed the punishment, I will enter the realm of high-ranking gods again. As long as I consolidate my cultivation, I will soon usher in the call of the supernatural realm. At that time, as long as I meet the call, I will be able to be promoted directly to super strong. At that time, I may also become a place outside the world, and even the contemporary world, the first existence of the Xuqiang seventh order above the saints. What happened in the end, so that the cultivators after the historical partition have all gone down the wrong path? They stepped into the realm of the high-ranking gods early, they were dissatisfied with the laws, the four worlds were ordinary, and they welcomed the call of the superpowerful realm. If you reject the call of the Xian realm, and wait until their laws and the four realms of heaven and earth are improved, they may not be able to find an opportunity to step into the Xian realm. The wind let out a sigh. Xiao Tian, there is a high probability that he has stepped into the realm of high-ranking gods now. It is a wrong path. However, with his good fortune, even if he takes the wrong path, he may not be as mediocre as those people. The separation of history is really terrifying. It not only separated two eras, but also caused the practitioners of this era to go down the wrong path. Perhaps, it is also because of the abundance of spiritual energy in this era, which enables them to step into the realm of high-ranking gods in various ways in a very short period of time. Before the historical partition, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth did not seem to be very abundant. Many lower-ranking gods and middle-ranking gods have mastered the laws of the Great Perfection realm. There are gains and losses, there are losses and gains. This may be the reincarnation of heaven. The wind sighed softly. If I were to exist at the 7th rank of the Xian, should be able to relieve the imprisonment of the souls of the Soul Clan members of the Xian clan for my daughter-in-law, Kier, and forget about Xiaoshan's worries. For him, it must be a big surprise. Now, he still doesn't know where he is in the outer lands. Is he fighting for it? With the cultivation level of the median god, to comprehend the law to the great perfection, and the 4 realms of heaven and earth to the 7th level, it is indeed an incredible thing for contemporary people. How many people have stepped into the realm of high-ranking gods with a cultivation base, and the laws have not even comprehended the realm of small perfection, and the 4 realms of heaven and earth may not even have comprehended the prototype. Did they not think to do it? Obviously not. But why do so few people do that? Because of the 1,000-year catastrophe. After the realm of the king, the 1,000-year tribulation will come. If your strength is not improved, the 1,000-year tribulation will be stronger every time. When you are in the middle of the gods, and face the 1,000-year calamity that may make you die, it is to continue to pursue the law of no hope, the 4 realms of heaven and earth, or choose to be promoted to the realm of the upper gods immediately? The answer is obvious. Choose the first way. If you fail, you will die. The second way is steady. And between the historical partitions, after the realm of the king, although there is also a catastrophe. However, the calamity they face is once every 10,000 years, not once in 1,000 years, just like the 10,000-year calamity faced by the supreme powers of this era. This has also led to the fact that cultivators before the historical partition could have enough time to comprehend the 4 realms of heaven and earth, as well as the profound meaning of laws. In contemporary times, there are only 2 ways to become the 8th-tier Xian. The first way is to be like the wind, with extraordinary talent, and the way of Kendo against the sky. Before the upper gods, cultivate the way of Kendo to the 7th rank. Then, try to integrate the laws you are good at into Kendo, integrate with Kendo, and go hand in hand. Of course, if you only rely on Feng Qingyang yourself and want to completely integrate the laws that you are good at into Kendo, there will be no progress until you first come. The reason why he entered the realm so quickly was because he obtained the inheritance left by the Sword of Time, which made him take a lot less detours on the road of integrating the law of time into Kendo. Otherwise, when the 1,000-year calamity that can threaten him arrives, he may not be able to approach the last step, let alone take the last step. Just as Feng Qingyang thought, as long as he is in the realm of the median and fully integrates the law of time into swordsmanship, the law of time can be promoted to the realm of great perfection in one fell swoop. At that time, there will also be divine punishment for those who gather the great perfection law and the 7th order heaven and earth as one. Because Feng Qingyang is only a middle-ranking god, the punishment he will face is a god-rank punishment. With his strength, there is almost no danger to pass through. And once it passes, he can be promoted to the realm of the upper gods. When you reach the upper gods, you can also sense the exchange of the supreme realm normally, and you can directly be promoted to the strong. Instead of rejecting the call of the strongest, like his disciple Duan Lingtian, he continued to study the law, continued to study the swordsmanship, and went down the wrong path. Historical break, it can be said that it is not only history that has been broken, but also the 7th order road to the top of the cultivators in this world. Duan Lingtian, of course, did not know, his master has already touched the threshold of the 8th rank of Xian. Now he is in the place of return to the ruins left by the Xian's Seventh Order existence before the historical partition, where Bibo Tianfu was looking for someone to enter, and is shrouded by the huge sword beam power that descended from the sky. The figures in front of him were all crushed, turned into powder, and died. When that power came to him, he thought that he would die too. However, what he didn't expect was that after that force enveloped his body, it did not continue to press down. At the same time, a surprised old voice resounded and echoed in his ears. Kendo has reached the threshold of the Seventh Order? You are also good at the laws of space? Haha. After waiting for so many years, it's finally here. Chapter 45-28. The voice coming from his ear made Duan Lingshan's heart tremble. In this place of return to the ruins, who can still have such terrifying strength, except for those who left this place of return to the ruins, who were the strong men above the 7th rank before the historical partition? Here, there is no way for the strongest to come in. And if it is not the strongest, the strength is at most comparable to him. How can he imprison his body? And the sound comes, making his soul seem to tremble. It's not in vain that I tried my last effort to reopen the market. I didn't expect that the person I wanted to wait for finally came. The age is also in line with, and can even be said to be perfect. Hearing this, Duan Lingtian looked confused, and a subconscious thought was, this old guy wouldn't want to take him away? It's not that he has never encountered the scene of taking a house, and even just a few days from the Earth's mundane plane and crossed to the sanctuary plane, he was almost taken away by the reincarnation martial emperor. It's just that at that time, because of the restrictions between the worldly planes, the other party couldn't help his soul. And now, this old man is obviously a super strong man before the historical partition. If he wants to take away himself, I am afraid that there are no rules that can restrict him, right? The way of heaven is not benevolent, and it treats all things as cud dogs. I have no space for the old man, but I don't believe in evil. If I don't believe it, I can't break your bullshit. I'm already powerless, but I can train a descendant. Back then, before heaven and earth were destroyed and returned to chaos, although I and them were enclosed in their own ruins, my choice was different from theirs. They choose to leave some of their own things behind before they die, so that there can be traces of them after the world reopens. As for me, I chose to seal my memories, leaving nothing behind, and even let all the valuable treasures, even power, be smashed and integrated into my return to the ruins, so that my return to the ruins could be opened 3 times in succession. Today, I finally met someone who meets my requirements. Tian Dao, I'm curious, will you be able to force me to a desperate situation in the future, and force my descendants to a desperate situation? My heirs will definitely be better than blue. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. When one after another, loud laughter echoed in Duan Lingshan's ears. Soon, he lost consciousness. When he woke up again, I found that I had appeared in a simple-looking stone house. Where is this? What happened? In the stone house, there are beds and tables. Spotless. Suddenly, Duan Lingshan's expression changed, and he covered his head with his hands. At this moment, he finally remembered what happened before he fell into a coma. That old age seemed to have a hysterical voice. Even at this time, there was a huge memory, like an endless ocean, pouring into Duan Lingshan's original memory that was like a river. In an instant, Duan Lingtian only felt a splitting headache. This feeling lasted for a while before it stabilized. This is... Duan Lingshan's pupils glared round in the next instant. This is the strong man who called himself the old man without space before the historical partition, the strong man who left this place of return to the ruins, the strong man who has been scolding the way of heaven, the memory left behind. Old man Wukong, Xian 9th rank powerhouse. Kendo, 9th order. The way of control, the 8th order. The way of infinite, the 8th order. The laws of space, great perfection. The law of death, great perfection. The law of life, great perfection. After reading through the memory, Duan Lingtian was very knowledgeable, but he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Is the strong man before the historical partition so perverted? Wrong. As the reading memory deepened, Duan Lingtian also knew that even before the historical partition, not everyone was as powerful and defying as the Wukong old man. The old man Wukong was a super strong man before the historical partition, a top strong man. In that era, there were very few people who could compare with him. If it weren't for the thought of heaven, the world would be destroyed and returned to chaos. When he cultivates both the way of control and the way of infinite to the ninth order, he may be expected to compete with the way of heaven. These are also learned from the memory of the empty old man. As Duan Lingtian continued to read the memories of the Wukong old man in depth, he had to continue to sigh that this old man was powerful and terrifying. It's gotten to that point. The strength is so powerful that heavenly Tao trembles. In the 10,000 years of catastrophe that followed, he was so beaten that he would not dare to come again. The 10,000 years tribulation is also a means of heavenly Tao to maintain the order of heaven and earth. Non-heavenly Tao directly shot, so even the strongest 10,000 years tribulation is not as good as heavenly Tao's direct shot. However, the way of heaven seems to be limited and cannot directly deal with someone. It can only be restricted by setting rules. As for the more specific, the old man Wukong himself doesn't seem to know very well. However, when Duan Lingtian read the Wukong old man's comprehension of swordsmanship and the comprehension of the laws of space, his eyes could not help but light up. His kendo is a kendo that perfectly integrates the laws of space. As long as I can fully digest and understand his understanding of space swordsmanship, my space laws will be able to step into the realm of great perfection in the shortest possible time. Space kendo can also be further improved. This time, I really made a lot of money. Of course, Duan Lingtian also learned from the memory of the empty old man. This place of return to the ruins of the Wukong old man has been opened 3 times, and the place of return to the ruins left by people before the general historical partition has been opened once and basically disappeared. Different from those people, the old man Wukong is determined to find a successor, inherit his memory, embark on a road that surpasses him, contend with the way of heaven, and even oppose the way of heaven. Do it for real. But what's the matter? In the memory of the old man Wukong, in the era before the historical partition, the existence of the king above the gods, although they will also face the catastrophe, but it is the catastrophe of 10,000 years. Also, if you want to step into the 7th rank of Xian, you must basically understand the 4 realms of heaven and earth to the 7th rank before stepping into the realm of the upper gods, and the laws are perfect. Because, when the great perfection of the law and the 7th order of the heavenly Tao appear on a person at the same time, they will usher in the heavenly punishment from the heavenly Tao. The heavenly punishment will appear for the cultivation base. The kind of heavenly punishment for the cultivation of the strongest, even before the historical partition, no one can successfully pass through it. The kind of heavenly punishment of the cultivation base of the upper gods, only a few extremely talented evildoers can survive. Among them, this old man without space is included. He is the kind of heavenly punishment he passed when he was a high-ranking god, and he passed it easily. Most people, when they were in the realm of the middle gods, passed that kind of heavenly punishment and laid the foundation of the 7th rank of Xian, so that they could respond to the state of Xian soon after they became the upper gods. The call of Xian's 7th order. Chapter 45-29, The Era Controlled by the Tao of Heaven. Wrong. It's all wrong. It took a long, long time. After reading through the memories of the Wukong old man, Duan Lingtian sighed in his heart. He knew that after the historical separation, the outside world, and even the practitioners of all realms, had gone the wrong way. Before entering the realm of the upper gods, one should first comprehend the law to the realm of great perfection, and then comprehend one of the 4 realms of heaven and earth to the 7th level. In this case, after passing the punishment, step into the realm of the upper gods, and after sensing the call of the realm of the strongest, respond to it and step directly into the realm of the superpower. In this way, as soon as you enter the Xian, it is the existence of the 7th order of Xian. Xian's 7th order, what is that concept? Even the most powerful saints in the world outside the world, and even the practitioners of the world, are the Jizuan realm powerhouse, which is only the 6th rank of the strongest. Wrong. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian thought of one more thing. Contemporary cultivators, after stepping into the realm of the God King, will face the test of a 1,000-year-old catastrophe. Before the historical partition, according to the memory of the Wukong old man, it was only once every 10,000 years that he had to face a catastrophe. Also, look at the calamity faced by the Wukong old man. Every interval, the power is limited, and it should be equivalent to the power of the 2 contemporary robbery intervals. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath. He has already vaguely guessed something. Has the rules of heaven and earth changed? Did heaven do it? Apart from this possibility, Duan Lingtian could never think of the second possibility. Combining the memory of the old man Wukong, and synthesizing the current situation, he also faintly felt that the invisible hand of Tian Dao seems to be controlling this era, making it difficult for this era to give birth to the existence of the 7th order Xian. Perhaps it's because there are old people like Wukong who can threaten the existence of heavenly Dao between the historical partitions? So, for the cultivators who appeared after the historical separation this time, he treated them as piglets and kept them in captivity, preventing them from stepping above the 7th rank of the Xian, threatening its strength? Although, this metaphor is somewhat sad for all contemporary practitioners, including saints. But, it seems to be the truth. Indisputable fact. In this era, even if you know that there are such restrictions, there are still a few people who can successfully master the laws of the Great Perfection realm and the 7th order heaven and earth realm in the realm of the median god. The catastrophe once in 1,000 years, that's no joke. Before stepping into the strongest, before history was cut off, the robbery was once every 10,000 years. After the history is cut off, the robbery comes once every 1,000 years. Even if there are some middle-ranked gods, they have the intention to comprehend the law to the great perfection before stepping into the realm of the upper gods, and the 4 ways of heaven and earth can reach the 7th level. Once the catastrophe that threatens their lives arrives, will they choose to die, or choose to simply become a superior and shatter the catastrophe? The answer is obvious. No wonder this Wukong old man said, the way of heaven is not benevolent, and it treats all things as cud dogs. Isn't that so? Duan Lingtian sighed, and there was a bit of happiness in his eyes. Fortunately, I haven't stepped into the Xian realm. Otherwise, in this life, it will be difficult to step into the 7th order of Xian. Even before the historical partition, there was no Xian who stepped into the 7th order of Xian from below the 7th order of Xian. Even if they comprehend the law to the great perfection at the 6th level of the Xian, and comprehend the 4 realms of heaven and earth to the 7th level, the punishment they are waiting for will kill them. The upper gods, although facing that kind of punishment, it is still a 9-death life. But, after all, there is a chance. Moreover, I have now integrated the memories of the old man Wukong. Even if I face that kind of punishment in the future, I can be considered experienced, and it will definitely not be more difficult than when the old man Wukong faced that kind of punishment. In addition, thinking of the achievements of the old man Wukong in his life, his eyes are full of heat. He used a shocking method to perfectly preserve his memory, including his various understandings of swordsmanship and even the profound meaning of laws. As long as you give me time, I can completely digest this information and have his achievements in swordsmanship and the profound meaning of law before his death. At this moment, Duan Lingshan's heart couldn't help but be restless. The previous achievements of the empty old man, Kendo, 9th order. The way of control, the 8th order. The way of infinity, the 8th order. The laws of space, the laws of death, and the laws of life have all stepped into the realm of great perfection. There are 4 ways of heaven and earth, there are only 4 in total. Except for the way of devouring, he actually realized all of them to this level. No wonder even heavenly Tao is afraid of him. Moreover, according to the memory of the old man Wukong, the reason why he was able to have the strength of the 9th rank of Xian before his death was because he comprehended the law of life and the law of death at the same time to the realm of great perfection, and penetrated life and death. In addition to the achievements in the field of the way of control and the way of infinite, we are able to have the strength of the 9th rank of the strongest. According to his inference. If he comprehends either the way of control or the way of infinite to the 9th order, his strength will be enough to go further and reach the peak of the 9th order of the strongest. If both step into the 9th order, his strength will be on par with heaven. At that time, even if the Tao of heaven shatters the heavens and the earth, returns everything in the world to chaos, and cuts off history, it won't affect him. Duan Ling Tian was inexplicably shocked. Wukong old man, too powerful. How could there be such a powerful person in the world? Moreover, it is such an incomparably powerful character, who is still forced by heaven to escape into the land of return to the ruins before the historical partition, leaving a lifetime of memories. The purpose of his doing this is to cultivate a successor who can compete with heavenly Tao. The first two returned to the market opened, and there were outstanding people, but he didn't like it. This time, he saw me. Of course, according to his memory, in fact, his most ideal successor is the kind of person who comprehends Kendo to the 7th level, and even comprehends the law of space, the law of life or the law of death to the realm of great perfection. But, he has no chance. So, choose me. In his eyes, I'm barely qualified to be his successor. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. In this era of heaven's restrictions, it is estimated that it is difficult to find a person who can comprehend Kendo to the 7th level at the same time, and comprehend one of the 3 laws of space law, life law and death law to the realm of great perfection. His master was gentle, and the swordsmanship should have stepped into the 7th order. However, in terms of rules, it does not meet the requirements of the empty old man. If you are not good at the law of space, the law of life and the law of death, it will be a very long process to digest the memory of the Wukong old man and make it his own. He must find a suitable successor. Duan Ling Tian sighed. He knew that the opportunity he got this time might become the biggest chance he had ever had in his life. In the future, even if there are still some opportunities, it is definitely impossible to surpass this one. Lifetime memory of the super strong standing at the peak before the historical partition. What other chance can be compared with it? The rest of the time, just stay in the land of return to the ruins to digest his memory. As soon as possible, let my space law be perfectly integrated into the swordsmanship, and let the swordsmanship become the space swordsmanship. Because, according to the memory of the old man Wukong, in his land of return to the ruins, the valuable things were all broken by him and integrated into the land of return to the ruins, consolidating the land of return to the ruins. In this way, there is no need for him to waste time looking for anything. Even now, he can clearly know all the mysteries of this place of return to the ruins. But, it doesn't make any sense. There was nothing worth taking for him. Miss Wei. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian suddenly thought of the Night Mid-Saint from the Duan clan in the Tourmaline Holy City before coming to this place of return to the ruins this time. In his eyes, raging anger ignited. Perhaps, it won't take long. I will be able to avenge you. Duan Yuwei's death, he always felt that there was a large part of his own reasons. If he hadn't asked Duan Yuwei to return to the God-defying realm with him, when he returned from the God-defying realm, he would not have appeared in that area and would not have been targeted by Duan Yuwei's enemies. Chapter 45-30. For the rest of the time. Duan Ling Tian didn't go anywhere, just stayed where he was, reading the memories left by the old man Wukong. Although the memory of the Wukong old man is complete, it is perfectly integrated into his memory and becomes a part of his memory, which can be consulted in a single thought. However, the Wukong old man's perception of the 4 ways of heaven and earth and the profound meaning of the law cannot be inherited by mere memory. Also needs to be digested. However, after all, even the memory is there, and the speed of digestion is naturally fast. Nearly a year has passed, Duan Ling Tian also stopped. The moment he opened his eyes, Duan Lingshan's eyes were filled with a few sword lights, and after a while, they disappeared. There was also a smile on his face. Although the time is still short. But, my space law, obviously the entry is extremely fast. It feels like a year or 2 at most, my space law can be perfectly integrated into the swordsmanship, and then step into the realm of great perfection. Old Wukong was the best at space swordsmanship. It's his name, with the word empty. At this time, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but remember that before he came in, the master of the Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Palace invited him to enter the Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Palace and gave him the name of Void Sword. No space, void. Maybe, this is fate. Duan Lingtian said secretly. Now, it's almost time to go out. Thinking of this, Duan Lingshan's thoughts moved. He left the place, went outside, found an exit nearby, and went straight out. While going out, he suddenly thought of something. Then Yao Xingchen. Shouldn't he be killed by that Yao Tianchen? Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Since he got the memory of the Wukong old man, he has no longer wandered in this place of return to the ruins, and went to comprehend the laws of space and swordsmanship. However, the mortality rate this time is estimated to be not small. Duan Lingtian thought about the big movement made by the old man Wukong before he got the memory of the old man Wukong. Many people died at that time, including an invincible superior god. The invincible high-ranking named Zhengbin, who is good at the laws of the earth system. Fortunately, I barely met the requirements of the Wukong old man. Otherwise, I would have died at his hands. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel fortunate. When Duan Lingtian came out through the exit, but in an instant, I sensed a few breaths coming. It is the few Bibo Tianfu supreme powerhouses headed by Shao Tianxi, the master of the Bibo Tianfu Golden Dragon Palace, and there are a few figures not far away that quickly galloped towards this side. However, at this moment, the faces of several people are particularly solemn. Someone came out. Palace Master Shao, is this someone who just came out? To Duan Lingtian, the few people who came over were unfamiliar faces, but it was certain that all of them were superpowers. He is a disciple of the Golden Dragon Palace that I newly invited to Bibo Tianfu. Look, the Void Sword Duan Lingtian. Shao Tianxi introduced Duan Lingtian, then looked at Duan Lingtian, and asked in front of the others, Duan Lingtian, what happened inside? Why are so many people dead? Hearing Shao Tianxi's words, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized. Yes. The last time the Wukong old man took action, so many people died, and it was impossible to find nothing outside. After all, most of the group of people who went in with him were disciples of Bibo Tianfu. If they died inside, the soul beads and soul cards of Bibo Tianfu would definitely shatter. Duan Lingtian came back to his senses and shook his head. Palace Master, I'm not too sure. However, when I was inside, I did hear a loud noise coming from afar. Later, I went to investigate, but found a large area of the area is shrouded by a mysterious force, and there is no way to enter. The power Duan Lingtian said was exactly the power that the Wukong old man left behind in the land of returning ruins. In fact, that is also the power of the land of ruins. It's just that the place where the old man Wukong shot was circled in, so that other people in the land of return to the ruins could not spy on everything inside. And he came from that place. There should be a lot of people who know this too. When they come out, you can just ask them, Hall Master. Duan Lingtian said. At this moment, those few faces couldn't help but ask, Duan Lingtian, before and after that power appeared, what abnormality can you detect? Duan Lingtian, have you checked that place carefully? Duan Lingtian. These few people's faces are not very good looking now, and between words, they asked Duan Lingtian about various things in the land of returning to the ruins. Just when Duan Lingtian didn't know who to answer first, Shao Tianxi spoke up, okay, everyone, even if you want to ask, you should ask them one by one. Now that you are asking all these questions, how should Duan Lingtian answer? And, if I want to say. If you really want to ask, it's best to wait for the rest of the people to come out before asking. We Bibo Tianfu disciples, there are still many people who have survived. For example, Yao Xingchen and others. So far, the news that Bibo Tianfu has given me is that their soul beads and soul cards have not been broken. Still alive. Following Shao Tianxi's opening, several people became quiet. At this time, Xiao Tianxi's voice transmission came from Duan Lingshan's ear. All of them have disciples who have entered the land of return to the ruins, and they are all dead. Hearing this, Duan Lingtian was stunned, and finally understood why these people looked ugly. It turned out that their disciples all died inside. Next, in the face of these people's questions one by one, Duan Lingtian also answered one by one, and the answers were watertight. In the end, everyone was disappointed. This Duan Lingtian cannot provide him with anything of value. Duan Lingtian. A superpower behind Xiao Tianxi, after seeing Duan Lingtian idle, immediately stepped forward and took the ring from Duan Lingshan's hand. And the divine consciousness swept through, probed Duan Lingtian, and after confirming that there was nothing hidden in Duan Lingtian, he also returned Duan Lingshan's own ring to him. At this time, Xiao Tianxi asked Duan Lingtian, I have already greeted someone and asked him to come pick you up and go back to Bibo Tianfu to go through the formalities for entering the palace. You go back with him later. He is also a disciple of the Golden Dragon Palace, the fourth disciple of my family. Xiao Tianxi said. It is good. Hearing Xiao Tianxi's words, Duan Lingshan's eyes lit up. After all, those people in the land of return to the ruins will probably only come out in 10 days, so it doesn't make much sense to wait here. At the same time, he has always had some yearning for Bibo Tianfu. After all, this is a force with strong saints. Saint. It's also a poor man. Thinking of the memory of the Wukong old man, Duan Lingtian sighed in his heart. He knows that all saints in the world outside the world, and even the 10,000 worlds, will never have the opportunity to step into the 7th rank of Xian, and they will only die under the 10,000-year catastrophe that is stronger than one time. Chapter 45-31. However, no matter how pitiful the saint is, killing me now is just a matter of snapping your fingers. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian laughed at himself. Now that he, let alone stepping into the realm of the strongest, has not even comprehended the realm of great perfection, how can he be qualified to talk about the saint? Moreover, if he met the saint now, he could not wait to ask the other party to take action and release the imprisonment of the soul originating from the Soul clan for his wife Kir. Soon, the fourth disciple under his sect that Xiao Tianxi said came. It was a young man in a blue robe, with a resolute appearance and angry eyes. After he came over, he hurriedly saluted Xiao Tianxi, Ku-yi, I have seen master. He was the fourth disciple of Xiao Tianxi, Ku-yi. It is also one of the only 2 disciples under Xiao Tianxi's family who have not stepped into the realm of the strongest. Ku-yi, I told you everything in the subpoena. You bring Duan Lingtian back to the mansion to go through the formalities for entering the mansion. From now on, he will be our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. Xiao Tianxi said to Ku-yi. Yes, master. After Ku-yi responded, he looked at Duan Lingtian beside him, and said enthusiastically, Hello, I'm Ku-yi. I'll take you back to the mansion to go through the formalities. It is good. Duan Lingtian responded and followed Ku-yi away. Away from Xiao Tianxi, and after confirming that Xiao Tianxi could no longer hear his words, Ku-yi looked at Duan Lingtian enviously. Brother Lingtian, you are the first non-superpower in our Golden Dragon Hall to be honored by the gods. The one who gave the name. Void Sword. Awesome. Duan Lingtian was startled. Isn't this title a name other than a name? Why should you care so much? Ku-yi stared. Brother Lingtian, you don't know. Among the various halls in the Bibo Tianfu, only the palace guardian disciple with the highest status among the hall disciples has his own name, right? Furthermore, this title cannot be taken by oneself. It must be bestowed by the master of a hall. This point, even the palace master of our Bibo Tianfu can't intervene. The Golden Dragon Hall is the master's private plot. Although it also belongs to Bibo Tianfu, it has enough autonomy. Moreover, our Golden Dragon Hall is the top 3 temples among the 16 halls in Bibo Tianfu. Following Ku-yi's words, Duan Lingtian also gained a further understanding of Bibo Tianfu. In the past, he only knew that Bibo Tianfu was the strength of saints, and there were saints in charge. But now, Kui told him that in the Bibo Tianfu, in addition to the normal disciples of the outer palace and the inner palace, there were also 16 temples. The temple called Bibo Temple that the current palace master of Bibo Tianfu is also in charge of, is the temple of the current palace master of Bibo Tianfu, but it is not the strongest. Like the Golden Dragon Palace, it only ranks in the top 3. The strongest hall is the one where the sage of Bibo Tianfu is located, called the Tianshui Hall. However, it is not the saint who is the master of the Tianshui Temple. That saint is just the previous generation of the temple master of Tianshui Temple, and the current temple master of Tianshui Temple is his eldest disciple and a powerful semi-sacred powerhouse. In Bibo Tianfu, Tianshui Hall, Bibo Hall and Golden Dragon Hall are the top 3 halls. Before, in our Bibo Tianfu, only Tianshui Hall and Bibo Hall had invincible superior gods. Now, with your participation, our Golden Dragon Palace finally has an invincible superior god. Don't look at the seriousness of the master. Even when he mentioned you to me, he also revealed a lot of surprise. Obviously, he didn't expect you to become an invincible high-ranking soon after he invited you into the Golden Dragon Palace. Duan Lingtian was invited by Xiao Tianxi first. Later, Xiao Tianxi brought him into the small world inside his body. In addition, Xiao Tianxi also asked the old man beside him to help him understand the laws of space, and in the discussion with the old man, he touched the threshold of the 7th rank of Kendo, and only had the strength of an invincible superior god. I asked Shizuan why he didn't accept you as his 6th disciple. Shizuan said that he is not worthy of being your teacher. Now, there are a total of 5 people under the master's sect. There are 2 senior brothers and 1 senior sister above me, all of whom have stepped into the realm of the strongest, and the weakest is also the 3rd rank of the strongest. My strength is estimated to be comparable to that before your breakthrough and achievement of the invincible upper god. The little junior brother behind me is a little weaker than me. However, I think his talent is better than mine, and it will be a matter of time before he catches up with me. Kui is very talkative. Duan Lingtian was on the way to Bibo Tianfu with him, and before he entered Bibo Tianfu, he basically knew the situation inside Bibo Tianfu and the situation inside the Golden Dragon Palace. However, after actually entering the Bibo Tianfu station, Duan Lingtian was still shocked by the scene in front of him. The Bibo Tianfu station is not so much a station, but rather a boundless space that is located outside the boundary, but independent of the boundary. The resident of Bibo Tianfu has always been located in the small world of the saint's body. However, I suspect that the small world in the body of the saint where Bibo Tianfu resides is not the small world in the body of the saint in the Tianshui Temple. Kui's words were said to Duan Lingtian by the sound transmission. Why? Duan Lingtian was puzzled and asked through voice transmission. Because, many years ago, the master and the master of the Tianshui Temple fought a real fire. In the end, the saint behind the Tianshui Temple also came out to persuade him, but I feel that his power seems to be suppressed. It's like a superpower, the feeling of entering a small world in another superpower. Of course, I don't know if it's my illusion. At the beginning, I was also there. When everyone's attention was on the saint, I was also observing him, and I obviously felt this way. It was also that I realized the 3rd order of the infinite way at the time. If I see him again now, I may be able to further confirm whether Bibo Tianfu resides in a small world within his body. Koi said. The infinite way? Hearing Kui's words, Duan Lingshan's eyes flickered a few times. He seldom encountered practitioners who mastered the way of infinite. However, in the memory of the Wukong old man he recently got, there is the understanding of the infinite way of the 8th order. However, he has not even absorbed the 9th order kendo in the memory of Wukong old man, so it is naturally impossible to absorb that part of the understanding of the infinite way. If Bibo Tianfu is not stationed in the small world inside the body of the saint of Tianshui Temple. Duan Lingtian raised his brows. Doesn't that mean? Bibo Tianfu, there is a 2nd saint. Kui took over and said. 2nd saint. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Chapter 45-32. Bibo Tianfu, what does it mean if there is a second saint? It means that even in the power of saints, Bibo Tianfu is an extremely powerful existence. Duan Ling Tian was surprised by Kui's guess, but he couldn't help but become active, thinking about how to find an opportunity to meet one of the saints in Bibo Tianfu and ask them to help his wife get rid of the imprisoned soul. Duan Ling Tian followed Kui, and quickly went through the formalities for entering the palace and became a member of the Golden Dragon Palace, in Bibo Tianfu. A temple guard disciple. And in the Golden Dragon Hall, he is a disciple of the temple guard who is not the strongest. If he became a disciple of the temple guardian before he became the invincible superior god, he would definitely cause gossip. Because, among the 16 temples of Bibo Tianfu, the top 3 temples, it has always been the practice, are those who are not invincible high-ranking gods and the most powerful people above the 3rd rank, and cannot become temple guardian disciples. Little junior brother, this is the void sword that you wanted to meet earlier. Not long after arriving at the Golden Dragon Hall, Kui just helped Duan Ling Tian arrange a place to live, that is, the place to practice, when a figure came uninvited, Kui at the door. You can let the other party in after getting Duan Lingshan's permission. Senior brother Ling Tian, this is my younger brother and the 5th disciple of the master's disciple, Huang Fu Ping. After completing the formalities with Duan Ling Tian became a disciple of Bibo Tianfu and a disciple of the guardian of the Golden Dragon Palace, and Kui's address to him also changed from Brother Ling Tian to Senior Brother Ling Tian. But he was a handsome young man with a bit of arrogance between his brows. He entered the door and looked up and down. Duan Ling Tian, you are Duan Ling Tian, the law that the master said is not yet complete, but has the strength of the invincible superior god. I want to see your methods, but I don't know. Would it be convenient for you to discuss with me? I have never seen a person who has not comprehended the law to the realm of great perfection, and has become an invincible superior god. Huang Fu Ping's eyes shone brightly, as if seeing the heart of a hunter. Little junior brother. On the other hand, Kui frowned and scolded, don't be rude. Senior brother Ling Tian, don't pay attention to him. Kui said in a row, and at the same time did not forget to give Huang Fu Ping a fierce look. It's okay. Facing Huang Fu Ping, who was staring at him with scrutiny, Duan Ling Tian smiled slyly. It is not difficult for him to guess the other party's mind, and most likely he feels that he cannot understand the invincible upper gods who have not comprehended the law to the realm of great perfection. After all, the invincible superior gods in the world are basically the invincible superior gods who rely on the laws of the great perfection realm. Wanting to rely on other means to become an invincible high ranking is difficult. Say nothing else, it is said that touching the threshold of the 7th order heaven and earth and the 4 realms, even if it is a saint, few people can achieve this step. Where are we chatting? Duan Ling Tian looked at Huang Fu Ping and asked bluntly. What? Duan Lingshan's directness was straightforward, but Huang Fu Ping was stunned. He didn't expect Duan Ling Tian to be so refreshing. No need to set a date? Huang Fu Ping asked subconsciously. Duan Ling Tian laughed dumbly, it's just a discussion, you don't need to be so troublesome. Now, I can discuss with you, you can just find a place. Huang Fu Ping heard the words, came back to his senses, and gave Duan Ling Tian a deep look. It seems that you are very confident in your own strength. In that case, let's go to the dual space of our Golden Dragon Palace. Huang Fu Ping said. Dual space? Hearing Huang Fu Ping's words, Duan Ling Tian was stunned for a moment. At this time, Kui explained to him, Senior brother Ling Tian, the dual space is actually the small world inside the body of the hall master of our Golden Dragon Halls, Yanwu Hall. The more powerful disciples in the Golden Dragon Palace compete and duel, all in the small world inside his body. In this way, you can also avoid damaging anything in the duel. After being reminded like this, Duan Ling Tian suddenly realized, so it is. Let's go. Huang Fu Ping was also delighted to see the hunter, and wanted to see the special features of this genius who even his master praised. Duan Ling Tian smiled and followed. senior brother Ling Tian. At this time, Kui's voice transmission came from Duan Lingshan's ear. My little junior brother, I'm used to being proud, but a great god like you suddenly came to the Golden Dragon Palace, so I was a little unconvinced. You don't have to keep your hands later, teach him a good lesson, so that he knows that there are days outside the sky, and there are people outside people. In the Bibo Tianfu, the 16 temples, and in a certain city government, they are all independent entities. In each temple, there are martial arts hall, law enforcement hall, internal affairs hall, etc. Duan Lingtian followed Huangfu Ping all the way to the Yanwu Hall. When they arrived at the gate of Yanwu Hall, a lot of people had gathered, and they were looking forward to the direction they came from. You still called so many people? Kui frowned, looked at Huangfu Ping, and said, aren't you afraid of being too embarrassed to wait? Hey. Huangfu Ping smiled, fourth senior brother, you know that I always like to be lively. The people who come here are all our disciples from the Golden Dragon Palace. It's nothing to be ashamed of if you lose. You can find your way back later. I'm afraid you won't be able to find a place in the future. Kui was angry. He heard from his master that Duan Lingtian was not even half of his younger brother's age. What is this concept? Fourth senior brother, are you so disrespectful of me? The smile on Huangfu Ping's face converged and he frowned. Forget it, I'll tell you after you've been abused by senior brother Ling Tian. Kui shook his head, he didn't plan to tell him this now. Duan Lingtian, please. Huangfu Ping greeted Duan Lingtian, and then entered the Yanwu Hall first. Before going in, he did not forget to introduce to a group of disciples of the Golden Dragon Hall outside, this one, the object of my discussion today is the powerhouse who was given the title of Void Sword by my master, the disciple of the Temple Guard, Duan Lingtian. It is said that he is an invincible upper who has not yet entered the realm of great perfection. Kendo, I have reached the threshold of the 7th floor. As soon as these words came out, a group of disciples of the Golden Dragon Palace were immediately stunned. The law did not step into the great perfection, is it the invincible upper god? In the history of their Bibo Tianfu, does it seem that there has never been such an existence? The law has not entered the great perfection, can it really have the strength of the invincible upper god? Many people have raised such doubts. Is there such strength? After watching him and junior brother Huangfu Ping, we will know. If it is not for the invincible superior god, it would be difficult to defeat junior brother Huangfu Ping within 100 strokes. Yeah. Even senior brother Kui, who was the strongest under the former supreme powerhouse in our Golden Dragon Palace, would not be able to defeat senior brother Huangfu Ping within 100 strokes. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.